up, everybody? We are back, man. Episode 218, and today we are here with former NFL running back 805, very own Lorenzo Booker. Lorenzo, thank you for coming, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all, man. Glad for having me.
Dude, I'm glad to have you back here today. We are back from our break, and I'm excited for this interview, dude. I've heard a lot about you, especially from TJ. TJ is he's the man, dude. He's one of our favorite guests on the podcast.
TJ's like, there's this documentary on Netflix called The Black Godfather. So he's like the guy behind the scenes of everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
TJ's kind of like that. La Flama Blanca.
He's a good guy, man. You don't find many people like him, man. Yeah. But thank you for coming, bro. I appreciate it. So let's get into it, man. Former NFL star. What was that like, dude?
You know what? I think about it sometimes because I don't think I ever got out of the little kid phase of dreaming to be it.
Yeah.
So even when I was there, I didn't spend a whole bunch of time thinking about it. You know, occasionally I'd be like in the locker room while everybody was praying, and I'd look around at the back of the jerseys and be like, you know, what the hell am I doing here? You know, not that I didn't expect to be there, but you know, it's one thing to kind of know you're going to do something, which I did, and most people don't understand when I say I knew. I just knew for whatever reason, and but actually being there was still different.
Yeah,
you know, the realization of it. But again, I've always been so super motivated. I never really spent time analyzing anything that I ever did until like years after I was done. You know, so it's kind of cool though to think about.
Yeah. So you always knew that you were going to be in that position? I
did. It's hard for people to understand. I mean, to the degree that I never use words like if, hope, wish, because I think what those words do is they create separation from you and it. And we were talking a little bit before we started. I'm like super into physics. So, you know, using words like I am take that separation, they take the distance out of it. So it's more of calling it into being, just more realizing it, materializing it from my mind than anything else.
When did you start having this way of thinking about things?
I just always did. And you know what's kind of weird? So most of my teammates, no matter where I was at, they always had this moment when they fell in love with football or when I mean, even my cousin Kerry, who's, you know, a legend around here as well. He went to USC. When he left, he was their all-time leading receiver. He went to Miami High School. So, but even he was like a basketball player at first, you know?
Yeah.
So my earliest memories of him are him doing layups, not catching slants.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, I was like born with a helmet on or something. You know, I just can't, even before I was old enough, because now you could play when you're 6, full contact football. When I was younger, you couldn't play till you're 8. So me and my best friend VJ and my older brother, Davon, they would like play catch with me because I couldn't catch for nothing when I was a kid, which is weird because I'm known as like a dual threat, you know, running back. But I couldn't catch at all. So, and from like 6 to like 11, I was like working on my hands, you know, but from like 5 to 8, it was like preparing to play football. You know, like I would cut my mom's shoulder pads out of her blazers. I'm telling you, man, I was crazy.
The blazer?
Yeah, I went throwback, huh?
Why they put those, dog?
I know, man. You know what? I'm going to ask her. You know?
That probably had to be the thing back in the day where it had to be level.
Well, you know, it was like when you bought football uniforms back then, they only came with like the plastic helmet and the shoulder pads. So I didn't have the thigh pads or the knee pads. So I would cut her shoulder pads out to make the bottom, you know, ass whoopings. But, you know, hey, I was on to something. She just didn't know about it then.
Yeah. Did anybody know about it?
I can say outside of myself, I'll say there's only 2 people that really like told me I was great before, you know, I started being in the paper and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't even like counting Pop Warner football because there's a lot of people that are good when they're kids and they just fizzle out. You know, for whatever reason. Either you don't have it or you just stop working hard, but whatever. But my uncle Gus and Ricky McGee, they would come to my games when I was like 9 or 10. And no matter how much older other kids were or whatever, they were like, they always told me I was the best.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so Even my mom, I would tell her, but she's my mom. She's
Yeah.
supposed to believe, you know?
Yeah.
Even she'll tell you, okay, I started really understanding when you're like a sophomore. You know,
Yeah.
when I was in the paper and stuff. So, you know, but to her defense, she didn't know sport like that. It wasn't until everybody was like, you know how good your son is? She was like, all right,
Yeah.
thumbs up, you know? But those are my favorite memories of football, though. Like before the newspaper and all that. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I love football. Like really love football. You know?
The sport.
Yes.
Do you feel like the actual business of football made you look at it in a different way?
The business sucks. The NFL is the worst business in all of professional sports. It's like one of the worst businesses in terms of the model, period. I mean, it's just awful.
Yeah.
And that was like the sucky part, because you dream about going to the combine. Worst experience ever, right? It's the worst experience ever.
Okay.
And then, like, you know, you dream about just playing in the pros, but it's a business. It's a job. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a job in college too, but, you know, we can get there later if you want to. But
Yeah.
The difference between college and the pros is they won't give you a pink slip. You know, it doesn't matter how bad you play. You're still going to have your scholarship. I mean, technically, even that's annual. You know, but it'll completely destroy their ideology of amateurism if they take kids' scholarships the way they legally can on an annual basis, because scholarships are renewed every year. So, but they don't do that because, I mean, that's why they're in court right now and they're losing. How much worse would they be losing, the NCAA I'm talking about, if they actually exercise that option?
Gotcha.
So what they'll do to a kid in college is, if they feel like they don't want you anymore, they'll put you in a position to make you want to transfer. You know what I mean? That's how they get rid of you in college. But in the pros, they just get rid of you.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just one day you're there and one day you're not. And so that constant stress every single day. And then the environment in there is nothing you do matters. It doesn't matter how good you played one week. As soon as there's like a 24-hour rule. And even then for yourself, you don't give it to yourself because you're already stressing out about the next week. I got to do this again.
Yeah.
I got to do this again. You know, and they constantly remind you, if you don't do this, you'll be gone. You know, that's why you can see guys that'll like be college legends like Tebow. He didn't play longer than I did.
Yeah.
Jason White won the Heisman. He couldn't even make a team. Trent Richardson went second overall and he didn't play longer than I did. So it's telling you right there, you know, this is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, you know,
You know.
I was listening to the Mike Tyson podcast,
Yeah.
and the guy, he has this co-host on there. I forget his name, but he was a former NFL player as well. And another NFL player was on the podcast, so they were kind of talking about football, and he said, you know, people always ask me what the best feeling was. He said the best feeling was right when the game ended, because that's the furthest I was away from the next time that I was going to have to be out there again.
Yeah. And look, I don't want to make people feel like it was just this awful experience. I'm not saying that. But what you said is right. It is a constant struggle to maintain the organic love for the game and then balance the cutthroat business aspect of it as well, especially as an African American. You know, so you know, it's, you love it, and they tell you, you know, hey, play it like you did when you were a kid. Well, when I was a kid, I didn't have to worry about, you know, paying my mortgage and taking care of my kids. Like, I mean, it's dumb.
It's easy to say. Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, and I understand how casual fans can look at contract disputes and, you know, think players are selfish. I don't blame them. How could they know something that they don't know?
Yeah.
You know? So, but it's a constant struggle, and the key is balance. But because I love football so much, it was difficult for me at first, because I just like watching it. I just like being around it. So I could be at the facility from 7 to 6 and then come home and still want to watch ESPN. Well, after like my 4th year, I had to cut that out, because I found I was having trouble disconnecting. If I had a bad game, I would carry it with me. You know, so my highs were too high and my lows were too low. And it was actually my oldest son who snapped me out of it, because he and I have a lot in common. You know, he's a chip off the old block for sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, he don't care if we won or lost. He just wants to hang out with his dad after practice or after the game. And I got tired of bringing that home.
Yeah.
You know, I got tired of Britt. So I just was like, you know what? I snapped out of it one day, and I was like, look, if I could look at the film and know I graded out at 90 or higher, whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of parallels in the things that you're saying when your focus is passion, and then you take this passion and you build on top of it and you get to like the main stage, and then you're like, this kind of isn't like how I thought it was gonna be. Is same thing, man. Like I said, we've been doing, had this business for the last 10 years, and when I go to all these events and go to these car shows and things like that, it's more stress. I got to get up early, got to go there, set up. I can't go watch racing or go network with people or anything like that because I have an obligation to be here. But then the people who don't see that part, they say, man, you're lucky. You get to do this and you get to do that. I say, bro, you're lucky. You get to chill with your friends in the garage and don't got to worry about shit.
I know, right? And I've never tailgated before, so I feel you. I hate it. Everybody's like, man, we used to do this before the games. I'm like, I don't know nothing about that.
Bro, you get to the point where you're like, damn, you're having more fun than I had.
Man, you know how long it took me to be able to go to a football game, man? My best friend VJ, we went to see the Niners when they upset the Saints in the quarterfinals years ago. And it was so weird being in the stands.
Really?
I'm like, it just was uncomfortable. I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
My whole life, I'm the one coming out of the tunnel, so... and at that time I was still playing, and it still was weird.
Yeah.
Being in the stands. But I mean, it was great. I'm not like knocking it. I don't want anybody who aspires to be a professional athlete to be like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm just, it's like you mentioned too earlier, you just have to have a balance, and it's difficult to maintain equilibrium the higher you go. Is what I'm saying. Because if your coach's job is on the line, he's not going to be so understanding. And that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't play well, he's going to have to explain to his wife, why they got to move, and his kid, why he can't get the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip for Christmas. Like, he's not trying to do that, So, if you just go in with the right mindset, then you can, do what Chris Carter said at the Rookie Symposium. He's like, when you're done, you want to leave with the 2 M's. You want to leave with as many of the 2 M's as possible, money and memories. And so if you can just focus on that, and then I think you'll be able to get out and not have, for lack of a better way of describing it, PTSD.
Yeah, definitely. I feel you on that, man, and I feel like these are kind of the conversations that nobody really has, but they are very important to people who, if they want to dedicate their entire life to this. I feel that it's fair that they need to know everything. Because like you said, once you get there and you go, you get on the team and you're ready to go, and you get to the locker room, you're like, whoa, this isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. It's a lot more work. But yeah, you're right, man. It's balance, and it's not only in your passions. It's like everything in your life. You need to find balance for it to keep sanity.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things I wish I had. My Uncle Musa was really the one who helped me explore the parts of myself that I neglected from dedicating my life to football. So it helped ease the process of getting out of sport. For me, it wasn't so much not playing football, because I had proved to myself everything I wanted to prove to myself athletically. It was more having to not redefine myself, but rediscover those parts of myself again that basically I atrophied over the years. And so, just being into, my history and my culture, and that's, I indirectly didn't realize that I was studying science and physics. And so once I recognized it after a decade, it just, I don't even own any football books. It's all quantum physics, astro.
Oh my God.
That's all it is. I could do that all day, literally.
So how did you realize that you had a passion for that?
Well, because basically ancient Egyptian text is about alchemy. Now, obviously, if you look at the rudimentary definition of alchemy, it's taking a base, metal and then, transmutating it into its highest form, like a piece of coal going to a diamond, right? But, the truest form of alchemy that's in those texts and on those walls is alchemy of the mind. And we know this, because they'll talk to you now about the quantum field and all of this stuff that's been around for thousands of years. And basically what that is that, your mind has the ability to literally upgrade or downgrade your genetic expression. We're all too familiar with how you downgrade your genetic expression. It's called stress. Everybody knows that when you're under stress, you can literally make yourself sick. Well, what causes stress? Negative thoughts. Well, negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative feelings, negative actions. Your equilibrium is off. That's what disease is. Dis-ease. You're knocked out of balance, right? And your body can't maintain being knocked out of balance, being knocked out of homeostasis for elongated periods of time. So point is, we know what it means for you to downregulate your gene. Well, if you can downregulate your genetic expression, then can't you do the other part?
Yeah.
Can't you change your cellular information to help you, to serve you? So I'm more interested in that way, is being able to program my subconscious so that my perception is something that I have more control over.
I like that. I like where this is going, bro. You got to tell me more about that. So what are some of the things that you have found that help you uplift yourself? Well,
we all do it, believe it or not. We just don't recognize that's what we're doing. Something, it's as easy as just having positive thoughts, but it's hard to have positive thoughts if you're putting in negative things around you in other areas, depending on what music you listen to, what food you eat, what people you're around. All of those things are either sapping energy or giving you some. You're not staying the same, right? You get better, you get worse. Well, that's basically a deeper definition of it. So I think the more you recognize what serves you and what doesn't, well, then it's your job to take control of it.
Yeah.
So we all are doing it. I could tell you right now to remember something that was great. Like you asked me about my boy Camilo from back in the day. Well, immediately I'm thinking of happy times. So if I have happy thoughts, happy feelings, I'm happy. So it's uplifting myself. I'm uplifting myself. I'm feeling better just off of those thoughts. So, I think we all do it. We just need to take more control over it and really kind of pay attention to the things that we have made normal, because there's certain things that we've made normal that we just don't look at anymore, and they're killing us.
Yeah. So what were some of the first things that you started to change in your life, and then you noticed a positive reaction to it?
Well, first I did it to be a better football player. That's the funny thing. I was like, okay, how do I get my confidence back where it was? Because, and that's the thing about athletics and life in general. It's you go up, you go down. But again, you don't want to be too high or too low, because polarity, that's what it is. If it swings in one direction, it's coming right back in the other direction. So you kind of want to stay in the middle.
Yeah, they say you're never as good as people tell you, and you're never as bad as they tell you.
Exactly, right? So you kind of want to stay right there. So for me, it was kind of figuring out a way through like meditation and study. I read a lot of books by Miyamoto Musashi. He's like the most famous samurai in Japanese history, right? So I first started off reading some of those books about just kind of quieting the mind, basically.
Yeah.
And so I was playing better, but it stopped right there, because I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I wasn't doing it to be a better person. I was doing it to be a better football player, and that has a ceiling. So once I recognized that, and I began to study my own history and my own culture for myself, that's when I felt better about myself.
Yeah.
I had felt like I had more control over myself. And so by default, I had more control over my emotions and my mind and my confidence when I played football.
Dude, I definitely feel you on that. A few years back, I want to say maybe 3 years back, I read a book by Russell Simmons. It's Success Through Stillness, if I'm not mistaken. It's a book about meditation. Yeah. It's just something that I really want to implement in my life, but I just haven't given it as much priority as I need to. But every time that I feel like I'm stressed out, or I even back then when I read the book in the morning, I would do it 20 minutes meditate and then 20 minutes at night, and it's just like, it's so weird that the weight that gets lifted off of you. Because if you were just to tell somebody, yo, just sit down there, don't move, and just breathe and don't focus. Okay. But it doesn't make sense. But after you do it, then you're like, wow, I feel a lot different, and I didn't even do anything. And then it was probably about the same time that I was going through a lot of stuff personal wise. I think it was probably the same that you're kind of saying, you know, you get the status, you get everything that you want, and you realize, I kind of feel like there's still something missing. And then I started, instead of looking out like, it's your fault, you're the reason why I'm feeling like this, I looked within. I said, this isn't doing any good for my life. Like, the situation is what it is. If I'm gonna look at it positive or negative, that's just that's the energy that I'm giving to it. So I've tried my hardest to stay as positive as possible, but I still feel like sometimes it's a task. Do you feel yourself like it's natural, or do you still have to actually do it? Look at the positive of certain things. Think of the positive memories instead of like a negative one.
Well, I won't say that it's always work, quote unquote, right? But because I enjoy doing it, I don't really look at it like that. If anything, it's turned into that kind of obsession that football was, where if I just continue to do this, like, I could do it all day and never turn my TV on. Matter of fact, I don't even watch TV till the end of the night when my littlest son goes to bed. So I could literally do this between listening to lectures in the car, reading books, and I'll do it all day. So sometimes I have to stop myself. So my point of saying that is it's just become me.
Got you.
It's like, everything is hard at first. If you just go to the gym and you start doing workouts you never did, your body's going to be sore because it's not used to it. But if you keep at it, then your body gets used to it, and then it just becomes a part of your routine. So I have my response to adversity. I definitely trained myself to look at the positive. Absolutely. I've trained myself to not be the victim. And it doesn't mean that you're never going to have negative thoughts, but what happens is they don't linger.
Yeah.
You notice it. I recognize it. That's a negative thought. It's like turning a page in a book. But if you stay on that one page for hours and hours, see, this is what people don't understand about an idea. An idea is not negative or positive, right? It's like a seed. An idea has a picture, right? So that picture on the wall will mean something different than it does to you.
Yeah.
Right? So a seed is just a seed. The biggest tree in the world started off as a seed, and it had all the potential to be something. A seed doesn't grow unless it gets water and sunshine, right? The combination of both allows the idea that is embedded in the seed to grow until it fully materializes into a tree. Well, it's the same thing in your mind with ideas. You're going to get negative. You're going to get ideas that come through your head, but based off of your previous conditioning experiences, depends on the level of emotion and imagination that you feed the idea. So what you have to learn to do is things that are negative, don't attach so much emotion to it, regardless of your previous experiences with it. Don't attach so much emotion and imagination to it, because then that negative idea grows and it becomes real. You make it real in your mind. So, what I've learned to do is to stop feeding negative experiences with that and feed the positive ones. And so the positive ones grow. It's like cancer. Cancer is the overgrowth of cells, right? Well, if you want an overgrowth of ideas, you want them to be negative or positive. So feed the positive ones, and then your actions and reactions will follow that.
How do you feel about accountability?
It's like you said, where'd you go when you were stressed out? You looked within, right? So I think that's the major issue with people, is no matter what problem we have, we're always looking outside of ourselves for the answer. That doesn't mean I can't call you to vent. That doesn't mean I can't call you for advice.
Yeah.
That's not what that means. Ultimately what it means is if I'm mentoring you, I'm not giving you anything. As a matter of fact, even doctors, when they save your life, they're not giving you anything. When you go in there with a chronic illness, they're not, anything that a doctor gives you, medicine-wise or whatever, is designed to get your body to do something that it's supposed to have already done on its own, right? So it's not that you can't get help, but a real teacher, a real master, whatever you want to call it, someone who's genuinely interested in helping you, is trying to get you to cultivate the master that is in you. You see what I'm saying? If I'm the master, if you remain a follower your whole life, I'm not the master. I'm teaching you to pull out the master within yourself. At some point, you shouldn't need me anymore.
Yeah.
Right? But if I'm keeping you dependent, then what's the point of anything that we're doing?
Yeah.
Right? It's the master within you, the God that's in you, that is meant to be cultivated. And even regardless of how high you get, you'll still go through things. You still may even need to talk to people every now and again. But again, it's like I said before, it just won't be so strenuous. You won't spend nearly the amount of time that you used to until you are able to recognize certain things immediately, and then you just go within and you eradicate them immediately.
Yeah.
So depend on you.
Damn, I love it, man. We already got so deep. I love it, bro. This is the stuff that I like to talk about, because this way of thinking has really benefited me from the way that I used to handle things in the past. And it was just, I don't know what it was that triggered me to switch my way of thinking about things, but I think I put a lot of power in what I can give back to the world and the energy that I give back to the world, as even to the fact of, going to Starbucks or something, the person who's taking your order and the person who's making the drink and that gives it to you, that's like an actual person. And that person is there working a job that you probably wouldn't want to work. I wouldn't want to work it,
right.
And they probably had to be there super early in the morning. And if you can give them a little pick me up or just have them feel a little better about their day, like, should definitely be something that you would want to do. And I say that to say this is that I didn't focus on that stuff before. I really didn't worry about how I communicated with people, not in a bad way or anything, but I don't know, I'm not even talking to that person, but it doesn't have to be that. So I've kind of switched it around where if there's somebody that I don't need to interact with, I'll still interact with them just because it's another human. It's another person. It's somebody else that's going through these life experiences that I am. Maybe not the same type of experiences or the same way, but they're still feeling happy, sad. They still got bills to worry about. It's relative. Their situation to them is relative. And I think it was kind of the started to look at it in a more compassionate way that kind of changed my idea about how much power we really do have as human beings. Yo, what's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying this new episode of Downtime with Downstar. We are glad to be back, and we are glad to have Heel Toe Auto as a sponsor again. Big shout out to you, Marcus. An important part in buying Honda parts online is making sure that you can trust the company that you're dealing with to get you the parts reliably. You spend a lot of money and you spend a lot of time researching your build. The last thing that you want to do is send cash to a website where you may never see the parts again, and worse yet, never see your money. Basically, you don't want to get jacked. If you don't want to get jacked, make sure you check out Heel Toe, because Heel Toe has an 18-year track record and history, and that comes with part of the deal. Marcus knows everybody in the community, and he is the man. Heel Toe brings you deep industry connections, professional part recommendations, alternative ideas when your parts aren't available, and they'll even contact you when something looks out of the ordinary before it ships. Heel Toe's unique checkout allows you to select a deadline to receive parts, so make sure you get them in time for your project. You can buy parts anywhere online, but Heel Toe knows what truly matters to an enthusiast: professionalism, swiftness, accuracy, and bitches. I added that last part, but either way, Heel Toe is in your corner. Make sure you guys check them out at heeltoeauto.com, or you could call or text them at 949-295-1668, or check them out on Instagram at Heel Toe Automotive. Guys, if you can, please just shoot them a text right now and say, hey, thank you for continuing to support Downtime with Downstar, because without you, this show would go to shit. 949-295-1668. Now back to the show.
That's for sure. And you mentioned compassion. Compassion it's like the highest vibration, and this is not a theory. This is a fact. The way your heart palpitates when you're feeling love, compassion, understanding is completely different than when you're having jealousy, anger, or resentment. And, so, it's funny you mentioned that. I was, when I was done playing, like I said, I had to go through this period of rediscovering certain parts of myself, and I would go through the McDonald's, because I'm kind of like a coffee fiend.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Right? So I would go through McDonald's, and man, there would be days I was just feeling it, I was just feeling bad. And she was always so happy. all the time. She was so happy. And this went on for like 2 years. I would go through that drive-through and I would get my coffee, and she was just cheesing every single time. So, man, so another year passes and I move and I drive back down. Now, I've done this 3 times already, and I've had like $1,000 on me. And I go through the drive-through because I need her to know exactly what you just said. Hey, listen, I was going through something and you didn't know. But every time I came through the drive-through, I thought, well, she's working here. And I'm not saying that my job is any better than hers or I'm any better than
Definitely.
she is, But she certainly, if she wanted, she could make an excuse, right? And she chose not to. So I thought, well, man, if she's not making excuses, why should I? And I wanted so bad to tell her what it meant for me, just her being nice coming through the drive-through. And every time I go by, she's not there. It's irritating. I'm more mad at myself because I just didn't get her name, but I just figured, she'll be here.
Yeah.
She'll be here. And I've yet to find her. It's been years.
It's crazy when you meet people like that, huh? That they're just so happy and pumped and just for no seemingly reason from the outside looking in.
And that's the best reason.
Yeah.
Because that means, like you said, for us, we're looking at it and we're going, well, what reason do you have to be happy? You're at McDonald's, right? And that's a ridiculous way to think, for us to think that way, right? But her thing is, well, I'm not putting my happiness in a job or a dollar or a car or a house, something that is destined to fail me. It's within what we just talked about.
Yeah.
She's like, nah, I'm getting high off my own supply.
Yeah.
I'm not putting, my, the most important thing to you, your happiness, your well-being in the hands of somebody because they refuse to pay me something that the TV and radio told me I should have, So, I learned the more valuable lessons just observing her, than I did from having 3-hour conversations. It's like a picture says 1,000 words. I took that idea of her, that vision of her, and fed it in my own subconscious.
Because it really makes you look at things, even if it is coming from a bad point. It's like, why is this lady that's working at McDonald's happier than I am?
Yeah.
What's her secret? But when you just break it down to the very foundation of it, it's like, wow, what am I looking at that is making me unhappy, and why am I putting so much strength in that controls my happiness? Mike Tyson is one of the best podcasts that I like to listen to, just because his mentality it's changed immensely, and he has so much wisdom. He had a little Bootsy on there not long ago, and that was when Bootsy was talking about Kevin Garnett's son that's transitioning or something.
D-Wade,
Dwayne Wade, and Mike Tyson's just asking him like, why, what does it matter to you? Oh, because it's a kid, but yeah, what does this have to do with you? It doesn't, and nobody talks to Bootsy or somebody like that, but Mike Tyson can talk to anybody like that. And then he said, like, you don't even control yourself. His son transitioning controls you. Your managers, they control you. You don't know where your next show is.
Yep.
You don't know what time you need to be there. You don't know who you need to talk to, who you need to get tickets for. What you don't need to. Now you don't even control your own thoughts. Where this dude says something and you just pop off going on Twitter and it's just going everywhere viral and you're getting attacked. For what? Why did you have to do that? Because you can't even control yourself. And when he said that, I was like, wow, dude, that is so deep, because so many times I have reacted to what somebody else has said. And then I look at him like, man, I don't even have control of myself.
Yeah. And that's based off of, your reaction was based off of prior conditioning. It was you living in the past. You already had an experience of dealing with somebody or something in that same way, shape, or fashion. And so when that person's energy represented that, it took you right back to that point. You remembered it, you relived it all over again, and you reacted the exact same way.
Yeah.
And so Tyson's exactly right. Who's really in control? And so it's it really, I took it super, super deep, because now I have a 2-year-old son. So I got a 13-year-old son, I got a 2-year-old son. And just my whole method and approach to him it's not completely different, but it's different in that I'm recognizing that no matter how you cut it, I'm influencing him. Yeah. I'm programming him, right? Now, obviously, I'm going to try to program him in a way that is most conducive to him understanding that at some point, again, like we just talked about, you're going to have to take the wheel and redo certain things that I didn't do so good that serve you. You know, regardless of whether you're my son or not, your experiences are not going to be the exact same. Your ideas are not going to be the exact same. This is your particular expression of you. You know, I'm just going to do my best to help you, you know, pull the master out, right? So the way I deal with him is just the fundamentals are different. I'm way more conscious of that. So my level of anger, if he does something, I have to remember, like you said, okay, wait, I'm supposed to be his father, right? I'm supposed to be the adult. Okay, so if this 2-year-old can just get me so riled up, who's really in control here? You know what I mean? It's just, so, you know, I've found now over the years that I don't even like getting angry. Because now I recognize what you just said. And then too, I'm like, man, that means that I'm using that energy for something other than myself, you know? And I think that, you know, like the business that, you know, now we're creating, we're trying to create that environment. You know, I think that everybody should aspire to be their own boss. Now, everybody needs everybody. Even Elon Musk needs people.
Oh yeah.
He's only the richest man in the world because people buy his stuff. So you still need them. Yeah. We still need everybody. But, you know, I heard this and I can't remember where I heard it, but they said real power is not how much money you have. It's not how many women you got. It's not having even a lovely spouse. It's the degree of control you have over your own life. And so what that means to me is what is power? Am I really thinking the way that I want to think, using the energy on the things that I want to use the energy on? Because all of that is me building my dream. If you're not, then you're building somebody else's, you know? Yeah. And so it's like you said, we really have to start to ask ourselves, are our thoughts organic, or were they given to us and suggested through previous conditioning, which is our past? Yeah. We living in the past. Or, you know, is it because I'm on Instagram all day watching the news and all they telling me is Corona is going to kill me, so I'm killing myself with thoughts of dying already? Yeah. You know, it's like, where are your thoughts coming from? Where's your motivation coming from? Is it intrinsic or extrinsic? Like we just talked about. Are you going within, or are you looking without? Yeah. You know, I mean, it's really that simple, but it's that difficult. But it's really just that simple. And we know it's that simple because if something happens to you that is like catastrophic, it changes your thought process immediately, right? I mean, immediately it changes it. So we know that it's just as simple as getting your mind right. You know, literally you could wake up one day and be like, I'm not doing this no more, and that's that. Now, most times it takes something catastrophic to do that, but it doesn't have to. Yeah. You know, it doesn't have to.
Yeah, you know, I can always relate that to, you know, before people have kids, you know, they're just whatever, going through their life. I've seen this happen so many times. And then they end up having a kid and boom, they kick it into next gear. They get 2 jobs, they're working this, they're hustling, they're doing this, doing that. I'm like, yeah, if you didn't have the kid, you could have still been doing those same exact things, and you could probably get further a lot quicker. But people just don't realize that they have it built inside of them, you know? And that's something that I wanted to talk to you as well about, you know, both of us being from Oxnard. I feel like a lot of my ways that I was thinking about things and the life that I lived and the values that I put in certain type of people, certain material items was because of where I was from. That was everybody that I associated with. That was every way that everybody that thought the same exact way. You know, I'm gonna go downtown, I'm gonna get some bitches, I'm gonna get fucking new gear, I'm gonna get this car, I'm gonna get this and that. I never got to the point where I was just like, why? You know, like I don't even like these people. These people aren't even good people. They're shitty people. Like, why do I want to even impress these people? So when you decided to make this change, did you notice that people that knew the old you started changing around you?
To a certain degree. I know a lot of people, but a lot of people don't know me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of people know me. Like, I don't think me walking in here, you thought, and through no fault of your own, that I was interested in this type of stuff, right? I get told that. A friend of mine told me that all the time. She's like, you're nothing like I would expect a professional athlete to be. And I understand, because TV regurgitates the same old bullshit. There are guys in the locker room in every sport that are interested in other stuff.
Yeah.
But that doesn't sell, right? It could. They just don't want it to. So for me, I've always kept a tight circle. I really haven't added any new people like that. So the people who I've been with have always kind of known that I've been interested in other stuff. And it's not like I woke up one day and kind of got into it. I just basically developed the ability to articulate it better, I think, is the best way of describing it. So it's not me thinking the way that I think now is really not crazy to them, So, and I think something that serves you, it will serve you in every facet of your life. Like, even in football, what we're talking about serves me, because now I know, I knew that going into a football game, I stopped being able to listen to music. Like, for me, what motivates me most is thinking that you don't think I can do something. But see, I know that. So even though I'm feeding myself this, I'm feeding it because I know what it inherently does to me. It makes me go, okay, motherfucker, watch. But I'm in control, though. You see what I'm saying? It's different than you just walking up on me and going, hey, you ain't shit. You can't do this. And then I'm going, what? So now I'm doing it for you instead of doing it for myself. No, I'm playing the game on myself. So I would make shit up. Oh, what? You did what? You said what? I mean, to the degree that I wouldn't break the huddle with my teammates for pregame, nothing. I needed to tell myself that all these people in the stands think I ain't shit, right? So I started giving myself a mind job. And, and the best I ever did, I was playing for Chicago. I got a little help, though, but I made it a bigger deal than it was on purpose. And it was my son's birthday. I was like, yo, I'm going to score for you today. And he's like, all right. And so, but they gave the return I was supposed to get, which was going to put me on the sidelines and in the open field. That's my shit now.
Yeah.
You put me in space. I don't care who you are.
Gone.
Your ankles better be taped up, Jack. You know what I'm saying? So, but they gave it to Eric Weems, who was a Pro Bowl returner, and he picked up like 50. That's a huge return, so I'm hot. I'm steaming. So I'm waiting on the kickoff to start the second half, and, I'm just boiling inside. And the ball went up, and I blacked out. The last thing I remember, I was at the 50, and I heard everybody, and I just remember going, okay, I got to go back into this zone that you're talking about. So I blacked out again, and then I didn't wake back up till I was high stepping at like the 15 or the 10,
Yeah.
So... but that was kind of it was kind of trippy, because I knew then, all right, I'm onto something. Like, I can actually manipulate myself for the good, Yeah. So I do it all the time, no matter what I'm doing. I'll just tweak something up. It's like the Matrix when Neo was laying on his back and they kept plugging in these different programs, and so no matter what situation I'm in, I'm like, all right, I'll just do this. So I'll feed certain things to my hard drive. My subconscious is what I'm referring to as my hard drive. And I'll upload it in there with certain ideas, and then I'll feed them with the vision of me actually doing it and what it's going to look like, what it's going to smell like. And then it happens.
And then you do karate?
I know, right?
Are you a very visual person?
Absolutely. My imagination is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, it's crazy. That's important, though. Whenever I'm talking to people, if I feel like they're struggling, I'll ask them, hey, where are you going to be in 3 to 5? And I'm always interested to see how detailed they can be.
Yeah.
Because if you lack the ability to describe to me where you're going to be in detail, that's a problem. Because if you can't see it, like we just talked about, well, then that means the seed, that idea, is lacking information. It's not getting sufficient water. It's not getting sufficient sunlight in the form of imagination.
Yeah.
Because if you lack imagination, then you can't put the proper emotion that goes with it. So you're not going to be able to convince your body on a cellular level that it's real. Your mind doesn't know the difference between a thought that you're thinking and you actually doing it. It doesn't know.
Yeah.
On a cellular level, it legitimately doesn't know the difference. That's why I'm saying it's so important for you to have a good imagination. You know? So, you know, for everybody out there, you thinking about doing something, if you can't, you know, we'll just stick from an athlete standpoint. If you can't smell the grass, if you can't see yourself making the play and see the defender's face after you do whatever it is you're going to do, and then all the people standing up cheering, and then what are your coaches saying? What did your family say after you made the play? If you can't see it in that kind of detail, then you're hurting yourself.
Yeah. That's crazy that you say that, man. I was just talking to one of my buddies, and he's talking about things that he wants to do to his car or what have you. And yeah, maybe one day or this and that. I'm like, but I don't know. This car is a piece of shit. I'm like, yo, bro, the universe, they can't decipher what you really want. If you keep talking about negative, oh, this is, I don't know, maybe when, it's not going to happen, dude. You need to switch the way that you're talking about it. Yeah, it's going to come. It's coming one day. I'm working towards it. Then you have a path that you're building and a goal. But, you know, I have this conversation with my dad all the time. Like, Dad, you're asking for the wrong things. You think that the universe is able to decipher it and get your the way that you're saying it and your sarcasm and like, oh, I know what he means. No, dude, you're focusing on negative. The universe is gonna be like, oh, this dude likes negative. Let's give him some negative.
You're exactly right. You know, and that's the funny thing people don't get is it always says, yeah. You think you ain't shit, the universe goes, yeah, you ain't shit. You're right. Matter of fact, you know you ain't shit, and then it's going to start reminding you of things that made you feel like you wasn't shit. Remember? Told you wasn't shit. You know? So for me, that's why we talked about before, man. It's like you got to make sure, you know, everybody thinks that, you know, it's like you hear that statement, let thy food be thy medicine. Mm-hmm. You know, food is not just what you put in your mouth. It's what you put in your ears. It's what you choose to look at. It's all of that. People you're around, because you're ingesting it. You're getting the same thing from all those other things that you get from food, which is energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, definitely.
But what's the frequency of the energy is what we need to be concerned about.
Yeah.
You get real good and you could transmutate that low shit into high shit, but we don't got to go there either.
Yeah. And if you guys need to eat clean, make sure you hit up Star's Power Plates. He'll get you guys taken care of with your healthy eating, man. That's one thing that I figured that I needed to do is start eating healthier. I cut out a lot of, you know, fast food and junk food and things like that, just being more conscious of it. One thing that's been really hard for me to cut out, and I don't know if I want to get your opinion on this, is the music. So how are you able to, I'm not sure what kind of music you listen to, but popular music now, hip hop music, it's very negative. And a lot of things that they talk about are not positive. And I've been thinking about the music that I listen to. I don't know if that's having a certain effect on me as well.
It depends on the type of thoughts that you cultivate while you're listening.
So if I'm like, hell yeah, I want bitches, I want to kill somebody, or if I'm just like, oh, I like this beat.
Well, the problem wasn't that you want bitches. The problem
no more, babe, I love you.
Hypothetically
Hypothetic
speaking,
bitches.
Right? So that's not the issue. The issue is when you said I wanted to kill somebody, because wanting bitches is not necessarily a negative thing if you're single, right? Or you got some kind of agreement with your woman, you know? So, but it's more so like, you know, there's, depending on how I'm feeling, then I'll listen to certain types of music. You know, I'll still listen to rap, but even if I'm listening to rap, I'm not thinking of this version of myself, whether ego driven or not, but it's not at the expense of someone else. You understand what I'm saying? So I guess the best way to describe it is, imagine you're looking at the TV, and you know, we've seen certain movies where, and this is where the directors come in, when they want you to really focus on something, they'll change the color, or they'll focus in on this and blur out everything else in the background. So it's similar to that. If I'm listening to a music, if I just want to see myself walking in the club, looking smooth, smelling good, everybody on me. This is just me saying I think highly of myself. Because I'll do this. I'll listen to certain musics and I see myself in a certain fit. dressing a certain way. You know, the broads is on me. They looking at me a certain way. But that's still not at the expense of anybody else. That's just me, you know, promoting confidence. That's all I'm doing is promoting confidence, you know. So I'm using my imagination. Again, I'm fueling that idea, but it's not at the expense of anybody else. So, you know, I think it's really more the thoughts that spawn based off of the music you're listening to. You know?
Yeah. I think that was probably a lot more influential when I was younger, you know.
For sure.
When you hear a certain brand or something in a song, you're like, oh, well, that brand must be cool. Let me rock that brand.
For sure. And I love, there's nothing wrong with that either. You know, it's like, I love Louis Vuitton, right? And I love Jordans and all that type of stuff. But if I woke up and someone stole all my Louis, I'm going to be mad for a couple days. But after that, I'm going to just buy some more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's not going to stress me out, dude. You know, like, nothing is that serious. And that is really, it's funny. Me and my cousin Ronnie was talking about this the other day in terms of what the definition of materialism is. And really the real definition of it is, again, how much value are you putting on that thing? Right? So just like my point is just like I see myself wearing Louis and doing this and walking into a spot and having people look at me a certain way, I'll walk in there with a Rocky One sweatsuit and do the same thing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to, you know, that's how I feel. So, you know, my worth is not in what I'm wearing. You know, my worth is not in the car that I drive, because I ain't grow up with none of that shit anyway. You know, I ain't grow up with Louis. I ain't grow up with none of that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and those are the funnest times of my life.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can still enjoy things, but you just can't put your identity in them.
I feel you on that. So let's take it back a little bit. How was your childhood and upbringing? How were you raised?
Euphoric. And I mean that literally. Like I went to a place to get a brain map when I was done. I wasn't having any issues or anything. I just wanted to know. I mean, you know, running into grown men for years and years can't be the healthiest thing. So I just wanted to know how, I mean, you know, I'm all into my health too. So I just wanted to know, you know, what my brain looked like. So part of that whole deal was meditation. But while I was meditating, they measure your alpha, your theta, and your gamma brain waves, right? So they literally know when you're hitting the zone, right? That midpoint. And there are two things that always put me in the zone. My kids, obviously, and my childhood. I mean, to the degree that I had to sit my mom down and go, yo, I know it wasn't easy, because I didn't grow up poor, of course not. I didn't grow up rich either, you know, but I was fine. I always had what I needed, is my point. So I asked her, I'm like, man, look, I mean, my childhood was so amazing, despite all the success that I've had. And I'm thankful that I really haven't ever dealt with anything devastating ever. You know, my dad died recently, but even that I can't say was devastating, because I just don't have any regrets. Like, you know, like he was awesome and we had a good time. He didn't know, he knew that I loved him. There was nothing that I felt like I didn't tell him and that he didn't know. So even though I was sad, and I still get sad sometimes, it's still not like, it's not devastating, because I feel like I was able to take advantage to the best of my ability and his time. Yeah. So, but I had to ask her, and she was like, I mean, you know, there's hard points. And she was like, but, you know, I just did what I had to do. You know, and I had to ask her, just because, I mean, for years I even asked myself, why was I so lucky? Why was I so lucky? You know, like my brother and my sister never had jealousy, considering all the notoriety I got athletically. I mean, you know, and there was a period, because my mom was a hospice nurse for a long time. And so there were a lot of times where she was gone at night, you know. If my brother was a piece of shit or my sister was a piece of shit, that would have affected me, you know. And so it wasn't until I got older that I realized, man, you know, they were pretty mature. You know, they were pretty grown to be able to look after me and make sure that I didn't get in anything crazy, you know. But my childhood was perfect. There's not a single thing I would change. Nothing.
Did you ever ask your parents what prepared them to give you guys such a good life?
I mean, like I said, I asked her if it was, you know, there had to have been times in, like, you know, where it was really difficult. And, but she just was like, you just do what you got to do. I mean, it was, she's basically like, I'm just doing my job. I'm glad you had a great time. But, if because you have a kid, but if you don't have a kid, there's nothing you could tell someone who doesn't have one in terms of what to expect. We can give them like the basics, but this is a different kid. So the experience, this kid there's not going to be any kid just like him on the planet ever. Right. So just off of that, there's really no handbook. Nobody, there's basic stuff, teach them discipline, but how you teach them discipline. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got to make sure that, you teach them self-accountability, but how you teach them self-accountability, it's the how that there is no definition for it. You have to be like Floyd Mayweather because you got to just adjust. Because especially, your kid's different than is it because you have a 13-year-old son?
Yeah.
So he was different at 3, then he was different at 8, then he's different at 13, right? So then you kind of have to change the way you deal with him based off of where you see his personality going, right? To a certain degree. And so that's kind of, I think, really kind of the most important thing when it comes to that is being able to adjust and kind of still maintain that stuff, but then at the same time, being malleable enough to where, you can still provide the foundation for, organic expression.
We are back for another break. Next sponsor, Action Clutch. Action Clutch, thank you so much for coming back to sponsor the show, man. We are so excited to keep working with you through 2021 and beyond. Dude, Action Clutch has been focusing a lot on content lately. If you guys haven't checked them out, make sure you check them out at Action Clutch on Instagram. They're cooking, man. Shout out to Eric and the boys. But one of the most critical parts to any build is the clutch. Without a proper clutch, you won't be able to get that power to the wheels. No one wants to spend hundreds of dollars on a clutch that won't hold their power for more than a few races or spirited drives. That's why it's important to go with a kit that you know that you can count on, and that's why many people choose Action Clutch over the competition. Action Clutch makes all their kits here in the USA with materials sourced locally in Los Angeles. Action Clutch has kits from OEM replacements all the way to 1200 horsepower and can be found everywhere from street vehicles, drag cars, Downstar builds, and even Formula Drift vehicles. Not only are they made in the USA, but they've also made a strong focus to give back a percentage of sales to the community this year during these hard times, providing impacted families with groceries and other necessities. That's a dope one, man. Big shout out to you guys for doing that. Guys listening, it always feels good to give back. So if you can, just give back, pay it forward, pay for the car behind you, and keep on keeping on and live that life, man. You got to put that good karma in the good karma drawer because I know we all got a lot of bad karma out there and we're just waiting for it to come right around the corner. But if you get Action Clutch, you don't have to worry about that bad karma of a bad clutch going out when you're having a spirited drive. But make sure you guys contact them with whatever you need. Check them out at actionclutch.com, and if you don't see what you need, you can give them a call at 323-269-6051. But probably most of you guys are going to check them out on Instagram since that's the wave that we go through now. Just hit them up at Action Clutch, and you can shoot them a DM or you can email them at actionclutch.com. And if you need help choosing a kit, they're always there to help you out. And I'm here to help you out too. So when you go to actionclutch.com, make sure you use checkout code DTWD for 15% off and get lit. Back to the show. Yeah. I think a lot of people with children, especially from around here, that they don't really have the I don't want to say the luxury, but I don't know what it is. It seems like people have a different mentality from growing up over here, and it's a lot of the mentalities are very similar. I don't know if it's the parents are busy, or they're telling the kids don't do this, don't do that, but not really showing them why to do it like this, why not to do it like that. And that was kind of one of the ways that I was raised was, you don't do that because I told you not to do that. And I always knew that kind of just didn't click with me when I was younger. I'm like, well, why are you being a dick? Let me fucking do this. Why are you being a dick? Yeah. So now with my son, I try to talk to him in that way. Like, don't do this because this, and this. And then it kind of gets the wheels rolling, and it helps him understand a little more instead of me just being like a dictator, you know? And I guess that's what I was getting at. A lot of the experiences I've had, not really with my family, but just when I was growing up and just seeing friends and family and cousins and things like that, it was, the kids were always just dictated to. And that's it. And nobody really spent the time to tell them why not to do it like that, why to do it like this. But even in my age as an adult, like, you have to tell me why I'm doing these certain things for it to make sense. And it really helps with the growth at such a young age. Because my son, he's 13, but he's very mature in certain situations compared to kids that are his age. Yeah. Just the way that he handles situations, because like, it's not a dictator. I'm telling him why this and why that, and hopefully it makes sense in his head. But you're right, man. You just got to do the best that you can. And there's no playbook for it.
Sure ain't.
And and like you said, man, you're one in whatever 8 billion on this earth. And that's one thing that I've always looked towards as well, is that people, they want to be something else. I want to be like this person. I want to be like that. I want to be different. I want to be this or whatever. I'm like, girl, you don't understand that you're the only one of you out of everybody. Like, bet on you.
Yeah.
Don't bet on anything else.
For sure. And that's the issue. It doesn't, like we said, look, we can have people we look up to. But again, ultimately, you're only supposed to be looking at them because you're trying to cultivate that version within yourself. That's literally what the word hero is for. You know what I mean? It's a derivative of something else, but that'll take us somewhere else. But the point is just that the hero inspires you, because the hero what? The hero doesn't start off the hero. The hero starts off somewhere, goes through a bunch of shit, but finds the wherewithal to drag him or herself out of it into becoming. Yeah. They get through the shit, they learn the lesson, they apply it, the hero. So it's like, yeah, look at that person, but look at the whole thing. Like I've been telling my son this for years, like, yeah, it's great to see LeBron with the MVP, but you didn't see LeBron in the gym when he was 8. You didn't see LeBron, when he was 12. You didn't see LeBron Monday through Friday for however long. People right now don't see LeBron. LeBron spends $1 million a year just on prepping his body. It's like, it's easy to look at somebody, when they're standing on the podium. Me, I'm interested in how he got there in the first place. Yeah. That's where I'm getting my motivation from. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So, because that's ultimately going to determine whether your ass gets there or not. That's the problem with these kids, to go back to what you said, is I do believe kids these days are soft, but that's because parents coddle them too much. We blow smoke up their ass and thinking they're going to wake up one day and be great. No, you're not. You know what I mean? You're going to go through shit. Yeah. And that's just what it is. Like, what I preach to my son and any other kid is, look, man, I don't want to hear how confident you are and what you're going to do when shit is good. How are you going to act when shit ain't going your way? You still going to be that guy? You still going to be cocky when shit ain't going your way? You going to get yourself out of it, or you going to make an excuse? Because, I tell my son all the time, look, losers make excuses. It's if you, and my point is, look, you get an A on this test, regardless of how much I help you. I didn't get the A, you got the A. But if you get an F, your ass got the F too. It's not going to be, okay, you scored 20 points and look at me, and then you don't do shit and go, oh, well, the coach did. You see what I'm saying? There's no growth there, So, and that's what people don't understand, is what spawns growth is pressure. You don't grow without it. If you're comfortable, you're stagnant. Yeah. There's nobody that comes from, then that's my point of LeBron. LeBron grew up a certain type of way. There's pressure growing up like that. Yeah. I don't mean pressure to be great. I mean pressure to survive. Pressure to make other choices. Pressure to not work out. Pressure to not work on your jump shot. Pressure to do shit to put food on your table. That's more immediate. Yeah. But at the same time, the repercussions of that last a lifetime. So that's what I mean by pressure. Because when we go through shit is when we feel the pressure. It's when we feel weak, and it's easier to make bad decisions. Yeah. It's harder to keep believing in yourself, so people need to spend more time preparing their kids on how to deal with that, But now as soon as you tell little Johnny he's stupid and people go, oh, he's about to jump off a bridge. Well, dang.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. It's like, I'm just saying that, we need to toughen our kids up in a way that teaches them to stop putting their identity in things like we talked about before, that don't serve them outside of themselves. You have to know what your kid is looking at, know what he's reading, what are his friends doing, what kind of video games is he playing? You know what I mean? Like, all of that stuff matters.
Yeah.
So because it's all influencing them. It's all programming them. So, and then you send your kid to school and then you banging on the teacher because the kid ain't acting right. Well, he's just doing what he could do at home.
Yeah.
I know plenty of friends that are teachers, and I know plenty of friends who are police officers, and they're like, dude, if you're calling me over here for your kid, you think that's gonna do something?
Yeah.
This is far too late by the time I gotta come over here.
Yeah.
So there's nothing you could tell my son to break him. There's no coach that's breaking my son, because there's no way you or anybody else is gonna be harder on my son than me.
Yeah.
I'm teaching my son how to expect things from himself. When I say harder, it's not like like you said, dictatorship. I'm just saying you should expect to be great at anything you do. Period.
Yeah.
Like your bar might be a C, but that's fine. Well, then max out at a C. Everybody's bar is not the same.
Yeah.
Even when he gets A's, I'm like, it's not the A. The A don't mean shit. The A ain't getting you a job. The A ain't getting you the girl. It's what the A represents. It's the same thing my championship ring represents, or my NFL jerseys represent. They represent a journey and all the shit I had to go through and overcome to become what was in that jersey.
Yeah.
That's why it's important. If I gave you my jersey, it wouldn't mean what it means to me because you didn't do shit to get it.
Yeah.
So, I've coached kids. This was my last year because that group was 6 years old. Now they're going into high school. But I tell parents all the time, like, look, I'm going to talk to your kid and coach him in a way that is going to prepare him for the next level. That means I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. So if you're coddling Jimmy, I'm not the guy, because I'm not going to do that. I wasn't raised like that at all. You know what I mean? So
did you have issues with parents with the way that you coached?
Not because I already knew them.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So they already knew how I was. So I'll do anything for your kid, but I'm not gonna lie to your kid either, because I'm preparing your kid. Mm-hmm. And my thing is always, I'm preparing you to go up against me, and you're not breaking me. You're not gonna break me. So I need you to understand that, if I'm preparing you to go up against me, then you'll be able to go wherever you want and play.
Yeah.
So and that's just what it is. It's your mind. There's so many guys that are talented, but they don't got the mind, so they don't make it.
So what do you feel that it is about this generation of parents that choose to raise their kids in such a soft way?
I don't think it's because I think they think they're doing their best, but, it's like, look, I don't like punishing my kid. I don't like to take stuff from him because he's sad. Yeah. I don't want my kid to be sad. I mean, it hurts, but would I rather take his video games for a month, or would I rather him keep, developing negative habits and keep doing the same thing over and over again, and then him learn so far down the road when he misses out on a chance to do something far more important, So I think, we're too afraid to, quote, hurt our kids' feelings. Like, they're a kid. There's some stuff your kid just won't understand because they lack the experience. How can my son truly understand what it's like to have to discipline yourself because there's going to be a job that you want, and then you're going to have kids, and then how could he understand that? Mm-hmm. So I have to give it to him in a way that his 13-year-old brain can understand and accept that there's some shit he just not, and it is what it is. But it's like, I think we forget that we are who we are because of the shit we went through. So it's like, can you really regret some of the things that are, quote, negative if they made you who you are? Yeah,
that's the hard thing, man, because there's things that I do regret, but then I can't regret them because it ended me in this situation. Yeah. So there's really nothing that I could change, because looking from this day behind me, I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
So it was the proper pressure.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pressure bust pipes.
Now, when you were growing up, and then you wanted this goal of being in the NFL, Did you were you the only one that was putting that pressure on yourself?
Well, no one ever expected more of me than me.
Got you.
That's the most important thing. But my cousin Curtis was the one who helped really organize it. You know, because again, I'm still a kid. You know, so I still needed the proper direction. And he got a scholarship. He played at the University of Idaho. He was actually the first person in our family to win a championship. He'll remind you of that shit. You know?
Yeah.
So, but when I was like 10, you know, he helped, you know, really kind of shape it up and organize it, you know. And so, you know, and I always had tremendous support from my brother, my sister, you know, and my little brother, who's my best friend. He's bigger than me, but he's still younger than me. It is what it is, you know. And I just always had tremendous support from my mom, my dad. Everybody was just always have my back and, you know, never told me what I couldn't do. But Curtis was the one that, you know, helped cultivate that dog.
Gotcha.
You know?
Gotcha.
Because I say that all the time. Some kids can't flip the switch. You know, I might be articulate right now, you know, and all that stuff, and we could talk about physics, but we put that helmet on and I'm a fucking demon. I'm not articulating shit. I'm coming for your throat. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just what it is. So you have to, if you're going to play that kind of sport, you know, you have to have a switch. And he helped me really bring the dog out.
Gotcha.
You know, like, you know, straight, you know, Memnon, you know, I'm coming up and I'm looking at, you know, me and my boy Whitney used to run through your stretching lines pregame, just so you knew this game was over the minute you schedule us.
What do you mean?
You know, like, so teams would warm up. And we would just go running through their stretching lines, you know, like, or we'd warm up right next to them and just be doing ridiculous shit, you know, just to terrify them, you know? So it was just, you know, we used to find the stupidest reasons. Plus, so there's me and 6 of my cousins, this tattoo right here. It says Bala Click, right?
Okay.
So I'm the youngest, but there's 7 of us. And we all said we're going to get a college scholarship, you know? The odds of that are not good, right? But we literally did, every one of us.
Wow.
And 2 of us went to the pros, myself and Carrie. So, you know, it was really like we were our brother's keeper. You know what I mean? So everybody had was like-minded, was focused. All of our paths were different. And for me, I think that's why I take the most pride, because it shows the heart that we all had. You know, like, you go from me being ranked number 1 in the nation and having the pick of the litter to any school I wanted to go to, and Carey, you know, going to USC, being their all-time leading receiver when he left. You know, he was a 2nd-round draft pick. I was a 3rd-round draft pick. And then you'll go all the way to, like, you know, my cousin Tony, who, you know, had to back up at junior college for a little bit and then gets in the game and brings his team back to win it and gets a scholarship, you know, to Langston in Oklahoma. Or, you know, Jay Sean and James and Lonnie, who had to go to JUCO as DBs, and then Lonnie ends up starting for Marshall, you know, and you know, James goes to Weber with my other cousin Julian, and he went on a track scholarship.
Wow.
You see what I mean? So it's like, if Julian didn't necessarily get the money he wanted for football, but he was blazing fast, so he found a way. And now that dude's got like 4 Emmys because he was shooting for the Dodgers, their commercials. Yeah. And then now he works for NFL Network.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And all from this area?
Yeah. We're all from this area.
Wow.
My cousin Jay Sean was in SWAT, and then he retired. So everybody, even on the field, but even off the field, still kind of did their thing, you know.
And when did you guys all click up?
Well, since birth.
Oh, since family.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's just that. You know, I've got so many more cousins that got scholarships before me and after. Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. People be thinking I'm lying.
That's awesome, though, dude.
You know what I mean? So
hard work pays off, man.
Well, that's just my mom's side. My cousin James Ennis plays for the Orlando Magic right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then my cousin Nick Jones was on Santa Clara when they won state back in the day, with B.J. Ward and Terrence Dotsey and them. So, athletic. I got an athletic family for sure.
So you started high school in Oxnard High?
Yeah, I went to Oxnard.
You went to Saint Bonnie?
Yeah, so that's like a different story in itself, because I grew up in Hueneme.
Okay.
Like, I mean, the beach almost, you know? So.
Which area?
Off of Seaview Street.
Seaview.
Yeah, so like if you're going down Ventura Road, you
Okay.
got to pass Pleasant Valley. You even got to pass Hueneme Road.
Got you.
And it's the first street if you're going south,
Uh-huh.
like towards the beach in Hueneme, you'd make a right on Seaview.
Got you.
And then I'm right there.
Okay, I know where you're
you
at.
go any further, you're at the beach.
Yeah.
You know? So I grew up there. I played for the Rhinos with the late great Terry Fuller. You know, Coach Dan Hutchins and Steve, and so I you know, I grew up there. I would, you know, dream about playing varsity football for the Vikings. I'd watch Ronnie do his thing, and Kerry and James and all them, and so, but then my cousins, everybody but Kerry and Julian stayed at Hueneme, but James, Jay Sean, Tony, Lonnie went to Oxnard, and so I followed them to Oxnard. And so, but it made more sense for me because, like I said, my mom was a hospice nurse.
Got you.
So she was gone a lot of times at night. So a lot of the times I was already just staying with my cousin Curtis, who lived in Oxnard. So my mom was like, well, shit, he's technically like, you know, park guardian anyway, you know? So, so she filled out a paper saying that, and I went to Oxnard. But Hueneme was so mad. You know, they were so mad, you know, so I went there and we came back, we played Hueneme, we beat them 50-0.
To nothing?
Oh, we smashed them. You know what I mean? So,
shit.
and the principal, the varsity football coach, and the athletic director were at the game. It's a freshman football game, dude. Like, what are you guys doing here? Yeah. So within like a couple of weeks, the district was like, hey, he's got to come back because we don't think he lives in Oxnard. You know, we think
way.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. So this whole deal went down, and they're like, you got to go back to Hueneme, you know? So Curtis was like, hell no, he ain't going there, right?
Yeah.
He was like, nah. And, you know, and so he knew Tim Gutierrez real well. Tim Gutierrez went to Santa Clara. He went to San Diego State. He was a quarterback, real good. Marshall Falk was his running back and all them. So so he knew Tim because they would work out together when they were in college and, you know, when in the summertime.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, I got a little cousin who, you know, is real good. So they're like, all right, bring him by, you know. So I went over there. When I didn't even know where Saint Bonnie was. So it's like funny when people talk about Saint Bonnie because no one knew where Saint Bonnie was at all back then. You know, this is before phones like that. Ain't like we put it in our GPS, you know. So we had to find it. We finally found it. And he saw the big ass linemen. And remember, he had already played in college. So he knew what a program was supposed to look like. Got you. So, you know, we pulled up. He's like, we're just going to look at it. By the time we went in and came out, he was like, your ass is coming in, period.
Yeah.
All my mom had to hear was private school education, and she was sold. So, so everybody thinks I got recruited. And that's the furthest thing from what happened. You know, like I said, I didn't want to go there. I was the only black kid there, and I didn't know anybody. You know what I mean? Like, and Oxnard had all the girls. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Oxnard had them all. So I'm like, I mean, my cousins was there. My team was good. The girl, I wasn't doing shit in school, though, so I needed to go.
Yeah.
But, you know, so, you know, basically I ended up going there, and I remember Coach Mack told me this way later. He told me this when I was done. He goes, yo, he called the Rio Mesa coach, Coach Lawrence. He coached the freshman team because we played Rio Mesa Day, and he goes, hey, they got this kid, Lorenzo Booker, and he's going to come here. How good was he? And Coach Lawrence told him, hey, if you lose one game with him, you're not a good coach. We didn't lose no games, bro. I went 42-0.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't find that out till like way later. You know, kind of glad they didn't put that stress on me while I was there. You know what I mean? Like, damn, we just can't lose no games.
So why was Hueneme getting a check or something? Like, why were they tripping?
Nah, they're mad because, I mean, look, I wouldn't even tell you. Was I good? Yeah, obviously. But I wouldn't even tell you as confident as I was and knew what I was going to do. Come on, bro. I couldn't have told you that I wasn't going to lose no games and I was going to break every state record. And come on, man. Like, who can say that? So, but, you know, they just knew that I was good. And remember, my cousins had already left. And I was younger. I'm the youngest. So they were like, nah, you know, you going to have to come back. You know, they were just like, we're not going to be losing our players to Oxnard. I understand now that I'm grown, of course. Yeah. You know, do I think they went a little too far? You know, because there's certain stuff that, you know, was done that I can't say was directly done because how can I just, you know, Now I know why it was done.
Looks away.
Yeah, you know, it looks away. You know, and they could tell me all they want, they didn't do it, but I know they did.
Yeah.
You know, so but whatever. So there's certain things that were done throughout that process that I think was ridiculous because I was still only 14 years old.
Wow.
But I still understand why they did it. And obviously looking back now, you know, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Because I actually didn't start Saint Bonnie. Miami High School did. Because they pushed me to Saint Bonnie and all my boys came with.
Really?
So I didn't actually create it, you know.
So at what point did you start realizing that, you know, this dream is close to becoming a reality?
My sophomore year, we played my first game, varsity game. So I played 42 varsity games and I had 100 yards or more in 41 of them.
Wow.
And then, but my first game was I scored the first time I touched it against Agora. But that wasn't it yet. It was like midway through the season and I was already leading the county in rushing.
So you were varsity from the beginning?
As a sophomore.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so that year as a sophomore, halfway through, I was like, all right, you know, I'm really doing some things. So I ended that year as a sophomore. I broke every single season rushing and scoring record in the county. So I broke the single season rushing record, points, and touchdown. And then the next year, I broke my own records, but Tyler broke the national record at that point. Tyler had like 4,500 yards and 60-something touchdowns, you know. And that's another dude, you know, not to backtrack, but him and Jason Parker, we all grew up together too. So for me, I'm looking for motivation anywhere, you know. And so from Tyler's perspective, he just always seemed so fearless, you know what I mean? Like, and so the toughness that he displayed at a young age. And if you knew his dad Dennis, then you would already know what time it is, you know. Tyler had no choice but to be tough. You know, you get him in here, he'll tell you some crazy ass stories. But, you know, but so having guys that were older than me always motivated me. And so since Tyler was at Ventura and I was at Saint Bonnie, which is like down the street, we would always go to each other's games. But that year I had 3,100 yards and 49 touchdowns. But Tyler had 4,500 yards and 64 touchdowns.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, you know, so I broke my own record, but, you know, so I'm second in the county in terms of single season yards and touchdowns, but I'm number one in the state in career. When I ended my career, I was number one in the state in yards, number one in points and touchdowns. And then, but it just, my sophomore year, since I had already owned every single season record, I was like, all right, this is
on.
crazy.
So when that started happening sophomore year, what did that do for the rest of your life outside of football? Friends, girls, everything, lifestyle. What was all that like?
Well, it was all happening so fast, so I couldn't, like, I was just kind of enjoying the moment. You know, that was my funnest year of football because everything was new.
Yeah.
I was like realizing all my dreams for, you know, like right there. So that was my funnest year. After that, it just, you know, I was just kind of chasing my own expectations.
Gotcha.
You know, like after my sophomore year, it wasn't a matter if we were going to win, it was by how much. And then my senior year was like, if we don't win by 40, then something's wrong. You know, so it was just kind of, so it changed because but Saint Bonnie is very little. And, you know, my cousin Curtis really, by then I'm 16, and so I think a certain way. You know, it's just, I don't see anybody. I don't see nobody. If you in my way, then that's your ass. You know, there's just a certain mindset that I had, and my boy Whitney didn't help it. Because, you know, I tell people all the time, like, as much as I did in high school, I wasn't the best player on the field. Whitney was, and he was younger than me. You know, that dude was a freak. So as much motivation as I already had, having a dude next to me that just could do everything, he didn't have any weaknesses.
Yeah.
That was even more motivating. So we fed off each other. So we would come into games and we wasn't even seeing the defense, dude.
Yeah.
But again, we're in this small environment. We're not realizing what we're doing. You know, we're sending ripples through how football is even played in the county. You know, it's just, they start changing rules, you know. I mean, they made it to where you couldn't transfer no more like that. They start changing everything because we were just destroying people. So, but we're not understanding what's happening. You know, like we're just playing and finding different ways to motivate ourselves. And then, you know, my cousin Terrell came in, and he to this day still has the fastest 100-meter finish. He finished number 2 in the state. That's still the highest finish by any boy in county history. And he's 2 years younger than me. So, you know, you had the 3 of us, and then my cousin Jay Sean came in, and he set the school record, still stands today for picks. You see what I mean? So it was like it was like backyard football for us, because we grew up together. So we just talking shit to each other during games. You know what I mean? Hey, it's your turn. Oh, it's your turn. We didn't even see the defense. So, you know, it changed a lot, but Saint Bonnie did a great job of keeping you focused, which was great while I was playing, but it ended up, I don't want to say being a negative thing, but it allowed it to where when I finally had to confront, so to speak, the hype that I was getting, I wasn't ready for it at all.
How so?
Well, because, I mean, people see people signing on ESPN now. It's like nothing. No one ever did that before me. No football player ever did that before me. So, you know, and I won 3 of the 4 National Player of the Year awards. It was just like, you know, so they're like, hey, do you want to make your decision on Sports Center? And that's when shit changed.
Wow.
And that's when it was like I couldn't go nowhere.
So this is the decision to which college you were going to go to.
Yeah, but, you know, like I said, people see it now. There's shows of their shit now.
Okay.
There was nothing like that then, you know, and this was on Sports Center, though.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this wasn't like, you know, okay, we're going to stream it on a, you know, like I walked into that hotel and I got swarmed by cameras. You know, that shit was stressful, man. I was only 17, you know, like.
Where was this at?
At the hotel, the Casa Serena Hotel.
Okay, cool.
Called?
Here.
Yeah. So,
okay.
But it was on Sports Center all week. And I really didn't know, like my dream school is Florida State. But remember I told you how I went to Saint Bonnie and how it worked out. So Notre Dame looked like that, you know, but on roids. You know, I mean, this is Notre Dame. So Willingham was just getting the job there. They didn't have anybody that had my skill set, you know. And so it just looked like, okay, I should make, you know, I can't make an emotional decision. I need to make a logical decision, you know. But Florida State was my dream school. I mean, it just was my dream school, you know. So I'm like, damn, do I turn down my dream school, or do I try to make a quote, you know, better decision? And I say quote because it's, you know, it's not. I mean, it's Notre Dame. You'd understand why somebody would go there. They're on national TV every week, you know. But it just wasn't where I wanted to go.
Gotcha.
So, but I was just going back and forth. So the morning comes, and I don't know where I'm going. You know, by now I'm feeling the weight of everybody. I can't escape it.
That morning.
Nowhere. Oh man. You know, but my sister was really the one who kind of switched it up, because me and my sister are alike. We're super tight, but we're alike in ways that don't necessarily serve us either. So she just went for the jugular. Hey, you're dumb. How you gonna do all this work and not go to Florida State? You know what I mean? Like, she just kept it 100, you know, and, you know, I wasn't trying to hear that shit, but she was right. You know, I heard it. You can't not hear something. So when I calmed down, she was right. You know, so that morning I was just stressed out, man. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And I walked in, I was literally in class, still didn't know where I was going. Knowing that the weight of this, you know, everybody in school is asking me. I mean, the pressure to decide was so bad. Because Pete Carroll and Norm Chow and all them would come up to the school every day. Every single day almost at lunch. And and they would pull me out of the same class, my French class. And I was real tight with my French teacher. Like, even way after the fact, she came to Tallahassee and saw me, like she was off the chain.
Wow.
Oh yeah. And so and she noticed it. You know, she noticed it. And but so they pulled me out. And I never forget, I told Todd Therian, I was like, yo, I'm not going up there. He's like, you got to go up there. What do you mean? I was like, I'm not going up there. I just wanted to be a kid, bro. I'm not going up there. I don't care what you say. We'll stand here in the hallway all day. I'm not going up there. You know, I mean, that's how bad it was. Pete Carroll is right here waiting for you in the coach's office. I'm like, I don't give a damn. He'll be there all day. You know, so we go over to the hotel, and I just get swarmed, and it's just making it worse, you know. I mean, so my cousin Curtis, if you look at like the footage, he's talking to me, and and at one point he was like, look, we'll just send everybody home if you really don't know.
So this was all set up just you.
I mean, well, everybody at that time always signed there.
Got you.
Clearly they saved me for last.
Got you.
So in the midst of me waiting, Tim Brown calls me on the phone. Hey, you should go to Notre Dame. Then Jerome Bettis calls me on the phone. Hey, you should go to Notre Dame. That shit didn't help. Made it worse. You know what I'm saying? like, golly. So, I ended up getting up there and I was like, man, fuck that. I got to just do what I know is right. Yeah. So once I decided, this shit just, I just broke down because I was so stressed out, But that shit was stressful, bro. It really was.
All right, guys, I hope you're enjoying the show. We got our last sponsor and glad to have them back, Aeromotive. Piecing together a fuel system for your build can be a difficult task. Luckily, Aeromotive has your back with everything from replacement fuel pumps to fuel systems that will support 3,000 horsepower. That is lit, dude. Aeromotive's engineers have developed a solution for your build regardless of power level. If you're looking to make a switch over to E85, they have every part that you need to build a system that will be what you need, and it'll get you going, man. So make sure you guys check them out at aeromotiveinc.com, and you can check out some of their newest products like the brushless pump line. It's one of the newest pumps that they have. It's quieter, makes less heat, and it lasts longer than traditional brushed motor fuel pumps. They range from the original A1000 all the way up to 10 gallons per minute for 3,000 plus horsepower. Or if you guys don't have anything that crazy, you can check out their popular pump, which is the Stealth 340. It's the top selling pump, and it takes up to 700 horsepower for EFI setups or 1,000 for a carburetor. And if you just don't know what you need, but you know that you need it, you can hit up their customization shop and say, hey, look it, this is what I got. I got the new V8K series, and I need the fuel kit to go with it, and I need the bing bop and the boom, and they'll take care of you, man. And if you're a pro drifter, or if you're someone who's serious about their car, like Matt Field, the pro drifter, you guys should check out their rebuild program, man. So when you're on an off season, or when you're chilling, or when you blow your motor and you're just like, I don't know what to do, I just got to do some car stuff right now, take out all your stuff, send it in to Aeromotive. They'll fix it up. They'll get the Q-tips, they'll fix it all up, get a little WD in there, and then rebuild it, and you'll be ready to go, man. So make sure you guys check Aeromotive out at aeromotiveinc.com. And if you do see anything on there, if you guys do want to get one of these Stealth 340s, make sure you use code DTWD for 10% off. And yeah, man, big shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for supporting Downtime with Downstar. Without any of our sponsors, guys, this show would not be able to go on. So please just show them some love, and thank you guys for listening. I'm so excited to be back podcasting. The podcast is not going to be scheduled like it was before. Life is just way too busy to be doing 2 podcasts a week. So we're definitely going to focus on the type of guests that we're getting on, and we're going to make the conversations a little deeper hitting. I don't know, dude. We're just going. We're just doing it. We're just having fun, and I hope you guys are still having fun with the show. Because once you guys aren't having fun, I'm not having fun, and we ain't doing this anymore. But make sure you guys check us out at Downtime with Downstar on Instagram, and just go interact with us. Let us know who you guys want to hear on the podcast and what you want to hear us talk about. And if you want to hear us talk about aliens, conspiracy theories, or what have you, leave that below, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Big shout out to Lorenzo Booker, and make sure you guys go support him with all his endeavors. And let's get back to it. So when did you decide, as you were walking up there, or what?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Literally. I mean, people who know me will tell you, like, I don't lie to myself. That's one thing I don't do, and that's why I'm glad that I'm that way, because I don't regret anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because when push came to shove, I always did what I wanted to do, so, but USC, though, they tried.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, so on my recruiting trip, I would always get a migraine going to USC. That was the universe telling me, your ass ain't coming here. Period. Every time I went, I would get a migraine, because they were aggressive, and me, I don't need you to suck me off, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like you don't got to tell me how good I am and shit. Like, I don't want to hear all that. So, so I got another migraine. So I stayed in the room with my mom, but USC was playing like Kentucky or something. So Curtis goes with Pete Carroll to the game. Remember, but they're expecting me to go there. So they're sitting behind the band. And then they call a timeout, you know. So then Curtis starts to hear, he's like, are they saying Booker? Like, you know, it's kind of faint, you know. He's like, oh, whatever. And all of a sudden, it gets louder and it gets louder. And then the whole band turns around and they start playing the fight song. So Pete Carroll tells him, hey, bro, they think you're Lorenzo. You're going to have to do something. So the whole fucking stadium's saying, we want Booker. We want Booker. So Curtis, my cousin Curtis, stands up and he's doing the USC victory shit. You know what I mean? And and so of all the shit that ever happened when I was recruited, I hate that I missed that the most. But then part of me is like, I don't, you know, because I wonder what was going through his head when he was having to do
Hell
that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh man, thank God for that cell phones and shit weren't going at that time, because, you know, then people would have been like, damn, Booker is old? You know, my cousin Curtis actually looks young, but they would have known, though, that motherfucker's not 17. I'm sorry. He got a full goat, you know what I mean? And Book don't got no curl. You know? So it would have just been, you know, but.
Wow.
Yeah, that shit was nutty, man.
So then you get to Florida, and what's it like, bro? Gators.
So TMZ caught me one time. You know, I was a little, you know, I wasn't in my right mind, so to speak.
Gotcha.
But I always say it's like, but I don't mean anything negative by it. But I said it's like Varsity Blues on steroids.
Uh-huh.
You know? Now, when I say that, people think, oh, well, Florida State, y'all just bullshitting and all that. No, we're not. It's not that. But see, what people don't realize is when you play football down south, that shit's religion, bro. And in Tallahassee, there's no professional sports. So Florida State, they are the professional team. Not to mention, since Florida State has 40,000+ students, but FAMU, which is a historically black college, is literally 3 miles from there. That's 9,000 more students. And then TCC, Tallahassee Community College, is 5 miles in the other direction. So it's all college students. Also, Florida State was an all-girls school just 60 years ago. So the girl-to-guy ratio is like 5 or 6 to 1. In the University of Florida, with a bunch of inbreds. Can you tell we don't like the University of Florida? For all you Gator fans out there, hey, look, I know how y'all related, okay?
That's who Bobby Boucher played for, right?
Exactly. Now you know where the movie The Waterboy came from, the University of Florida. So that was an all guy school. So their guy to girl ratio is like 5, 6 to 1. So now you got to question cats that go to the University of Florida. You know what I'm saying? Sarcasm, but a little seriousness. Nah, but you can't even buy Gatorade in Tallahassee.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely not. We hate each other. Absolutely.
How far is it?
2 hours.
Okay.
It's like going from so it's down the street.
Gotcha.
You know? I mean, and it's vicious. We don't hate Miami.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like them for that day, but we don't hate Miami.
Mm-hmm.
But us and Miami both hate Florida.
Now, where is Florida State at?
In Tallahassee, in the capital.
Okay.
So you can be in Thomasville, Georgia in like 25 minutes. Okay. It's like if you fly into Florida, you're thinking, because have you been to Florida?
Yeah, Orlando.
Okay, so you've been to Orlando, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Orlando, there's parts of it where it's very green and you know what I mean, but then there's parts that are like city-like too. Well, if you flying into Tallahassee is like flying into Fresno. Okay. You're gonna be, if you've never been to Florida, you know, or South Florida, you're gonna be like, this is Florida?
Gotcha.
You fly into Tallahassee and you're like, where am I? Till your ass hit Tennessee Street on Thursday night.
Lit.
Friday. Man, come on. So the Girls Gone Wild would come every spring. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, bro, look, Florida State ain't no joke, bro. You know? Yeah. So they would come every spring and then like, you know, it's just football's God there. It's everything. You know, I remember I was taking this biology class and I thought the teacher hated me, and rightfully so. I was probably bullshitting. But it was one of those auditorium classes. Mm-hmm. So my boy Sam Bennett was out there with me then. We had just played Virginia, and Virginia was ranked like 5th, and we were 6th. So Rondé Barber and Derek Brooks drove up from Tampa because they were both with the Bucks at the time. And Rondé went to Virginia, you know. So, you know, he's like, Book, look, I need 130 and 2 touchdowns today in the locker room. And I literally got 134 and 2 touchdowns, and we smacked Virginia, right? Wow. So I go into class like Monday, and I'm late. So I'm like, fuck. this guy's really gonna think I think my shit don't stink because
Yeah.
I just balled out.
Yeah.
So I open the door, he hears it, and he looks up, and he puts his clipboard under his arm, and I'm just like, this guy's gonna kill me right now. He's just gonna light me up in front of the whole class, like 100 students, and he just start clapping his hands. Whole damn class gave me a standing ovation. Great game. It was just like, damn. Florida State's the bomb, bro.
Wow.
It's just the bomb. Florida State is the bomb.
Hell yeah.
It's the greatest time of my life. Easy. Put it this way. It was funner at Florida State than it was me having money and being able to go to Vegas and all this stuff in the pros.
Yeah.
It's still funner at Florida State.
Really?
Bro.
Girls Gone Wild. I'd never seen it in life, but just like the 30 seconds that would be on the commercial real quick.
It was just Tallahassee was the bomb, bro. Like it really was. But like I said, I don't say that to say, because I never got in trouble. You know what I mean? You never read nothing about me. It's not that, shit, I got my degree. It's not, I'm not saying that everyone out there was bullshit. I'm just saying it was fun. For a kid who's 19, 20 playing football, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The girls look good. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
Hell yeah.
But I'm not going to sit up here and bullshit you and act like, oh, no, I was going to class every day. And come on, bro. Like, come on.
There's a certain window in a man's life that they need to take advantage of that time, from like your teens to when you're figuring out like, oh, shit, she looks good.
Yeah.
To like time where it's, now I got to get to business. Now I got to figure out my career. You already knew your career, but, for other people, I get a career, I got to figure out, I got to move out or whatever, but in that small window that a man is like growing into him, who he's going to be, like that's a special time, man. I could just imagine what it was like.
It was fun, bro.
Hell
I can't even lie. And then I got drafted by the Dolphins. So I was in Miami, like.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
So how far was
it's 7 hours if you drive. Because Florida, Tallahassee is at the top.
Gotcha.
And then Miami's at the bottom.
Okay.
So you take the I-95 south and you just ride it. So if I couldn't live in South, and then my girlfriend at the time, at that particular time, for the majority of my college career, was from South Florida. So and my boys, I had a lot of friends who were Cubans, and so they were from South Florida. So I was down there all the time.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So when I got drafted, it almost felt like being drafted to like the Chargers. You know what I mean? Like that's how it felt. So, but it was, so that made draft day even better.
Yeah.
It was a shitty day, but it was the best day. It's the best, worst day.
Well, how so?
Because, you don't know. I think it might have been Kerry who told me. Yeah, it was Kerry. He said, yo, you're not going to get stressed out until or unless somebody goes over you that wasn't supposed to.
Okay.
So I was slated right behind Marshawn Lynch and Adrian Peterson. I mean, fuck. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. But AP went 6th or 7th and Marshawn went like 12th. So they were gone quick. So there was this sweet spot in the second round with the Titans, the Rams, the Giants. And all three of them needed like a scat back. You know what I mean? The Giants went with a receiver. The Titans went with this bum-ass running back out of Arizona named Chris Henry. He sucked, but he was a combine warrior. Like he looked like Tarzan, but he fucking played like Jane. You know what I'm saying? So he was cool, but fuck, hey, it is what it is, bro. You're not going to look at my film and his film and go, yeah, I'm going to take this guy. That's why you don't even know who the fuck I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
So they took him, which I was super heated at because I'm like, Norm Chow, you wanted that? He was wedding dick stiff. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, what are you going to do with this guy? So I don't think it was Norm that picked him probably, But so they took him, and then the Rams took this dude named Brian Leonard out of Rutgers, who ended up being a pretty good player. And the Bengals, they took a running back out of Auburn named Kenny Irons. But, poor Kenny, he tore his ACL. He tore his knee off in the preseason, and he just never played again. So the second round goes, and now I'm feeling it. But I know the business, so I know after the first 2 rounds, you go best available player. So now I'm going, well, shit, I could be anywhere now. But only like 4 picks in, I got the call from the Dolphins, and I just, I was like, okay, I'm glad I did. You know what? I'll forego that extra $100,000 just to go to Miami. You know? So, but it's just the best worst day because you don't know. And then when you go, though, it's just, I mean, you could have dropped me off in the Sahara and I would have been high as a kite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everyone else was wasted that night but me.
Yeah.
I was just so high off life, bro. You know what I mean? Like it just, plus it was cameras there from NFL Network. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, damn, I don't want to be looking all stressed out on the camera. It's just, the limo was about to be there in like an hour and a half, So I'm like thinking about all kind of shit. But, but it was like I said, it was the best, worst day.
Yeah.
It was cool.
So then you go on the Dolphins. How long did you play for the Dolphins?
Only my first year. So after I got picked by Miami, the Eagles were like 4 picks behind. And they ended up picking a friend of mine that went to Penn State. His name is Tony Hunt. But apparently they wanted to pick me with that pick. Mm-hmm. So they tried to trade for me the minute I got drafted. Mm. But Miami was like, nah, nope. And I guess they had tried to trade for me 3 times that year. So when I went to Miami, long story short, I ended up getting Rookie of the Year for my team. I'm in Miami. I lived in this penthouse downtown. I mean, I was loving life.
Now, what year was this?
07.
07.
Yeah. So,
got you.
So then the coach got fired and Parcells came in. So, Parcells, but even Parcells valued me. It's not that he didn't. But Andy Reid figured, okay, they got to change in management, so I'm gonna try again. So on draft day, they traded me for a 4th round pick. Now, for people who don't understand how trades work with draft picks, you don't just give up 4th round picks, right? For example, Randy Moss got traded from the Raiders to the Patriots for a 4th round pick. This is Randy Moss, okay? Santonio Holmes, after he was a Super Bowl hero, got traded for a 5th round pick. You know what I'm saying? So, so it was flattering for me that, damn, after just 1 year, they were willing to give up a 4th round pick. But it broke my heart. I damn near cried because you're telling me I got to move from Miami
to Philly.
Now, look, I don't know if you've been to Philly.
Yeah, I've been to Philly. Bro,
then you know what I'm talking about. If you watch Rocky, yeah, it looks like that. I'm not 4, where the motherfucker was living in a mansion and shit. 1. You know what I'm saying? Where he had that fucked up sweatsuit. Yeah. And, that's what Philly looks like. Yeah. So I'm like, bro, I'm going from Miami to here.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man, it broke my heart, bro.
07, 08. How was Miami for like clubbing? Because wasn't that when like Rick Ross was pretty popping out there, bro. Lil Wayne, and
I was in the South, bro, at a great time because I was in the South, like you said, when Weezy started to come into his own. I was in the South. I got to Florida State right when T.I. dropped his first album. I'm serious. Ooh. That's still my favorite T.I. album. T-Pain is from Tallahassee.
Yeah.
So he would, I've seen that dude perform 1 million times for free. Yeah, because he was trying to get put on. So I was down south at that time. Outkast was still popping, but Rick Ross was coming on. Like you said, it just Daddy Yankee.
Yeah.
So I was down there at that time. But the thing about Miami is that nothing closes. So I hear everything closes at 2. You know what I'm saying? So but down there, you'll leave the club at 4, but then there's another after hour spot that opens up at 5:30 or whatever the case.
Oh my
right?
God.
Yeah. So, and even the strip club out there, night and day different than here. You know what I mean? Like people at the strip club in Miami, you'll go there and eat a full meal, a high-end 4-star meal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just completely different. You know what I mean? So, but even that, it was just so much fun being in Miami. It's just, there's not really much I can, it's hard to describe to people that haven't been out. You know what I'm trying to say? So,
have you ever been to Live on Sundays? Was that a thing
here?
Back then?
Or out
Miami?
There? You know what? I might have.
I always hear Meek Mill talking about it.
I might have. I mean, I've been everywhere else though.
I lived through the rappers. That's how I live my life.
Tell you what, they ain't lying.
So then you get the call, bro, and then you got to go to beautiful Philadelphia.
Oh my God.
So what was that like?
So I went, and like I said, it was flattering because first of all, my team was going to be way better. We were 1-15 in Miami, But I didn't care. I was 23, bro. You know what I mean? Like I just made like $1.34 million. I ain't tripping. You know, I was like, whatever. So, but I go to Philly and in Sports Illustrated, we were picked to go to the Super Bowl that year. But it took me months to get used to that. The best thing though, the reason why I the best thing about being traded though is it took me out of a certain mindset. You know, like I basically would work out Monday through Thursday in OTAs. And what OTAs are, it's off-season training. So you lift weights and you run. So Monday through Thursday, but you get paid for that. You know, but it was only like $500 a week.
Gotcha.
Now, I'm not saying only like it's, but, you know, I mean, come on, bro. Like, I just made, like I said, $1.34 million. I'm not even, $500 will be in my glove box for a minute, you know, like, so I'm 23 years old. So basically, I would take that and party with that. So Monday through Thursday, I would go hard with the workouts. And then that way on the weekend, I would get it in. And so I was like, I never been a real hard partier, but I was like living my best life during that period, you know? So I was like watching the sun come up on the weekends, you know, and I was just having fun.
Hell yeah.
So I'm happy though, because my son was turning 1.
Okay.
So it put it to where I went from being in Miami with a bunch of distraction to where, you know, there's nothing to do in Philadelphia, at least for me. Mm-hmm. I'm from Southern California. I was in Tallahassee and Miami. Philly can't do shit for me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, please. So I was able to really like raise my son. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there just wasn't no distraction. Not that I wouldn't have anyway. It's not like I'm saying that. I'm just saying it took away any type of distraction.
Yeah, I feel you.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just nothing to do in Philly. So
besides cheesesteaks.
Yeah.
Philly, what is it, Geno's?
Yeah, but I didn't like Geno's and Pat's.
When we would go, we'll get one sandwich from each, and then we'll half it, and then my wife will have a whole, so we could try it both.
I liked Scotto's. I liked Scotto's better than Geno's.
Yeah, every time that we went there, all the locals are like, "Why you guys go there?" I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know,
always sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know.
They probably like told you in a way more like arrogant
dick way.
Yeah. Hey man, what you doing over there, clown? You know.
You know what's so funny, dude? One of the last times that we were in Philly, around that area, we were in what the fuck is it called in New Jersey? There's that.
That's where Camden. Most of us live. Camden is hood, Jack.
We went.
Man, Harold Carmichael tried to play a trick on me and tell me he wanted to help me find a place to live in Camden. So by the time I start telling like Brian Westbrook and Donovan, they was like, "What?" You know what I mean? Like, and so Harold, we go over. Harold was just in tears. You know, I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go look at this spot in Camden," and they walked me over to him because they thought I was bullshitting, and they walked me over to him like, "Hey, Harold, you trying to get this man robbed?" Camden, Jack, man.
Guys, if you're not listening, if you've seen the show The Wire, where they have houses that are just condemned everywhere, that's Camden. But shout out to Camden though. There's a lot of car guys that come out of Camden. And it's a rough area, but I mean, if that's where you gotta live at, man, that's where you gotta live. That's funny though. We went out there for a car show before, and we were just driving around because we had the whole day to chill. And there's the Rutgers right there, and there's like a stadium. So we were gonna, let's go see the stadium, and then we're just driving around, and I'm like, babe, I don't know if we're in a good area right here.
Bro. Camden, man, that's not the spot. You know, I mean, I know we think we got little hoods out here.
No, that's real hood.
People don't know what a hood is out here.
Yeah, no, definitely. Even like LA and stuff. I've never been anywhere in LA where I've felt in danger. Maybe it was I was there at the right time. I wasn't there at middle of the night or anything, but it was dead ass in the middle of the day on like a Thursday, and it was scary.
You know, just off of just the poverty, you know, right out of the gate from being in Camden, like, okay, this can't be a good area.
They don't even have a police department.
You know, yeah. So this can't be a good area. You know, like, so we would do a playground build in Camden, you know, like, but security up the ass, of course, you know. And but I remember the bus pulling out, and I swear I couldn't make this up if I tried. And it was a kid. He was a kid, no more than like 15. And he was standing there, And it was like 3 or 4 other cats in front of him, like confronting him, like on some straight gangster shit, like where's my shit type of confrontation. Now I'm on the bus, but he did something, okay? And as we're driving, the bigger guy, who clearly was grown, just stole him. I mean, just like punched him right in his face, you know? And this happened literally as we're driving by. And I just remember thinking, like, so no one's gonna stop? Like, we're just gonna drive by like that shit didn't happen, you know what I mean? Like, and I just went home, bro, and I just was like looking at my son, and I'm just like, damn, that was somebody else's son.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, damn.
Yeah, it's easy to look at those areas and trip out, and you know, just be kind of just surprised. But that is literally somebody's life. That's literally how people grow up, and they don't have any other examples. It's just the life that they were born with, you know. Man. And it was funny because my wife, she posted a picture of Camden, and she didn't say anything bad about it, but then people were commenting, and then she hashtagged it Camden, and then people from Camden were like defending it. Like, yeah, you know, it's got to be hard to live in a place like that, man. You know, and it's just man, I wish them the best. Big shout out to Camden.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's culture shock. Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
You know, it's and people, they don't understand the type of mindset that poverty breeds. You know, and the government knows that shit. You know, so you know, it's you know, if you're not getting basic human necessities, bro, you're going to behave like an animal, and animals definitely behave to survive. It's all about survival. You know, there's no time to have a conversation like we're having. Can't be fucking cerebral when you wondering where your next meal's gonna come from. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. And just in case people don't know where Camden is, it's in the Northeast. It's fucking cold out there. Yeah. You think you're cold right now? This ain't shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. So it's just, you know, every day you're not knowing if you're gonna have basic necessities. And so that, like I said, it's hard to not behave like an animal when you're basically being cultivated like an animal.
Yeah. You know, I think that's the lens that a lot of people don't want to look at it through, but it's the reality. You know, a lot of people are set up just to fail. And you could say, you know, pick yourself up by your bootstraps or what have you, but you've never been in that situation. You don't know. Exactly. You've never been where your stomach hurt and you don't have a meal. And maybe you have, but your mom's just not home to cook it yet.
Yeah. You know, they don't know. Nah, what that was, you know, now your body is depleting its glycogen storage, and that's a good thing because now it's going to start eating fat. Good for you, buddy. Yeah. Go a few more hours.
Yeah, I feel you, man. So, Philly, what was that like?
It was, football-wise, it was the best organization I played for.
Really?
Donovan was the shit. Westbrook was the shit. I mean, my teammates were awesome. Deshaun Jackson got there same time as me. So did Asante Samuel, and we almost went to the Super Bowl that year. We lost to the Cardinals with like 2 minutes left in the game. You know, it hurt. That was the only off season in the pros where I didn't want to go home because I just felt like I can't believe we're going home. The Super Bowl that year was against the Steelers, who we had already beaten week 3. So it's going to be like a Pennsylvania Super Bowl, you know. Yeah. And then the Flyers had, or not the Flyers, but the Phillies had just won it. And in Philly, I know you know like the football facility, the stadium. So all of the stadiums are like right there. Yeah. You know? So it was like Philly is about to be crazy. You know, the Phillies just won, and you know, now we're gonna win. And I think the Flyers were doing really, really good too. So it's like crazy, you know? So but it hurt. It hurt because, you know, we had guys like Brian Dawkins. I mean, just that dude is everything that you see on YouTube. Everything. I mean, guy's just a fantastic teammate. You know what I mean? Just amazing. You know, Donovan was awesome. Westbrook was awesome. It just, even a lot of the guys on the defense. And that was cool because Chris Gokong is from Carpinteria. He went to Carpinteria High School. Oh, wow. And I played against him in high school, and he and I were teammates over there.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. So there was just a lot going on. And then the Super Bowl was in Tampa. You know, I was going to get to go back to Florida. Yeah. So it was like, man, you know, that one hurt, you know. And then 2009, we came up short again. But 2010, I signed with Minnesota.
Okay.
And that was a whole nother level of cold, bro.
Shit.
Like, I mean, it was cold in Philly, but not like Minnesota.
It was like below. Huh?
Negative 34 was the worst it got. One time I didn't get above 0 for like 3 weeks.
34.
Negative 34.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man. We played in that shit. Remember when the dome caved in?
Yeah.
So the Metro Dome caved and we played outside? Bro. So what people don't understand is like Green Bay or the Bears or the Eagles even, when they know that they're going to be playing outside in the winter, there's heating coals under the field. So even though it's really, really cold everywhere else, the turf doesn't get that cold. You know, because, you know, if it gets that cold, it's like playing on cement. So they're preparing for that. The University of Minnesota, no college teams play that late in the winter. So there's no need to have heating coals. But that's where we played. So they had to hire random people that lived in the city and pay them $10 an hour. And it took them 3 days just to get all the snow off the field. Under the snow was like 8 inches of ice. They had to chisel through that shit. Then after that, they put a bunch of heaters that are hot as hell. But come on, bro, we're playing a football game in 3 days. You're not thawing out the field that fast.
And what you going to do with that water?
Exactly. So, man, we played on that shit. So that was Brett Favre's last game. That's the funny thing I tell people. I was on the field for Brett's last touchdown and his last play.
Wow.
And his last play. Because that whole year, I don't know if you remember, Brett's arm was jacked. You know, that shit would change colors, you know. So we come in the locker room and all of a sudden he's going to play. So, you know, that was one time. So he threw that touchdown to Percy and we took the lead. And I was celebrating with Brett. That shit was in the paper too. And I just remember thinking when I was jogging off the field, like, where the fuck am I right now? I'm over here celebrating with Brett Favre and shit. You know, like, what the fuck? Like, you know, I'm from Port Hueneme. What the fuck is going on? You know, like, tripping out. So, and then his last play, he got slammed. But everybody thought it was his arm. No, he hit his head on that hard-ass turf, and he was knocked out cold.
Oh, shit.
That was his, you know, it wasn't his arm. He was knocked out.
Yeah.
Turf was like playing on cement, you know? So, yeah, bro. And then after playing in the game, I had to, you know, chisel all the snow off of my car. Shit sucked.
So what's it like playing in that cold?
Terrible. You got to be a schizo. You have to talk to yourself like every play. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, literally, bro, whatever it takes. I asked Brett because I was like, well, I'm like, how did you play in Green Bay all this time? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, I mean, because he's from Mississippi. He's not supposed to be used to this shit either.
Yeah.
He was just like, you know, I just looked at it like a challenge, you know, like everything else. And I was like, you know, all right. You know, all right.
Yeah.
I'll challenge myself then. I mean, fuck, you know, I'm going to challenge myself and try to convince myself. Now, you want to talk about alchemy. Let me try to convince myself it's 100 degrees out here. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, you have no choice.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have coaches thinking that, you know, you can't play in cold weather. Because it doesn't matter who you play for.
Yeah.
Like even playing for Miami, but they're in the AFC East. The other three teams in their division are New England, the Jets, and the Bills. Come on, bro. And you know what? Ironically, we went there in the second half of the season. And they came to us in the first half of the season. And my thing was, why don't we just flip that? Because I know they don't want to play in this heat. And we damn sure don't want to play in that cold. So why don't we go there first and you come here second? I never understood that. Yeah. It's like irritating. You know what I'm saying? Like, but whatever.
Dude.
But
so you still ended up becoming a Viking?
Oh, yeah. You know what's funny you say that? The first time I got my helmet, that was the first thing I thought.
No way.
If you would have told me when I was a kid that the first time I'd have been a Viking was when I was 26, 27 years old, I'd have thought you was crazy. You know, but that fool AP, that's the greatest player I ever played with.
Really?
Oh, my God.
What was it like playing with these guys?
You know.
It's like your idols.
Yeah, Michael Vick. I was the most starstruck though, because I just looked up to him. You know, in college I had 3 posters. I had Snoop and Tupac, because you know it's Cali all day. I don't give a damn where I'm at. I had Ali standing over Sonny Liston, you know, obviously, but I had a picture of Vic. So when Vic came in, you know, I couldn't even sleep the night before because we had just played New England, and Andy Reid was like, "Look, need to tell you guys something. There's going to be a lot of media outside the facility tomorrow." He was like, "I just signed Michael Vick," and so the whole locker room was like, "What? You know, you just signed Vick?" So, you know, the next day you go in to review the film, and as soon as we pulled up, it was all kind of people, like, you know, pet people outside, just going crazy. So we go in there, but we were watching but I was so nervous because I love Michael Vick, you know. So we're as an offense, we watched the first half as an offense, and then after the first half, we split up into segments. So running backs, quarterbacks, receivers, linemen split up to watch the rest of the film. So I was thinking, dang, how do I say what's up to Mike without sounding like a fucking cheerleader, you know? Yeah. But I didn't have to because in that game I had got a draw where I juked the shit out of a linebacker, and then they motioned me out of the backfield a few plays later, and I took a linebacker up top. So I made a couple plays. So when we left, as we left the meeting room, he was like, "Damn, Book, why'd you do him like that?" And it was like, oh, you know, I was like, he just said something to me. You know, so it was like, but playing with him was nuts because I just looked up to him. Bro. I mean, it's Michael Vick, bro. You know, the first time he even took the field, bro, the whole stadium stood up.
So this was after his controversy?
Yeah, he had basically just got out of prison.
Gotcha.
You know, so, you know, so it was, but that dude has like an aura about him. He was just a monster.
That's so like, crazy, bro.
He was a monster. And, you know, I can only imagine what Atlanta Vic was like.
Yeah.
You know, like, man, but AP there's nobody like him. You know, and I played with Donovan, Jason Taylor, Michael Vick, you know, I mean, you know, Brett, I got Brett at the end. So I can't, you know, I got geriatric Brett.
Got
you know? But I still was able to see why people love him. You know what I mean? Like I could see it. You know, he was, I could see how people would just love to block for him. Cause you know, you remember you asked that question, how do you know, keep a natural balance between your love for the game and the business? He took that. He made you feel like you just in the backyard. Like that shit you see on TV is the truth. And remember, I got the 20th year Brett. Can you imagine what 8, 9, 10 year Brett was like?
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, I know Brett obviously had star power, but that dude AP, look. Like he had 1 year, like every time we did walkthrough, he was at 3/4 every day. This is not like a sometime thing. Yeah. He's the only player I ever played with that I never saw ask for a break ever. Like that's just not realistic, bro. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. At some point you can ask for a break. He never at any point asked to be substituted. We would like look at film sometimes and be like, let's see if we could pick a play where he just kind of jogged or took the play off. Not one play. I mean, this dude is really, his nickname is all day. His fucking ass is all day. All the way.
Did you ever ask him about his mentality?
It's what I just told you. He believes, like, you know, so when you get your weekly binder, on the front of the playbook is the team that you're playing, what time in the stadium, but they never changed his cover. And it was like a statement of basically like anything I set my mind to, I could do. And that's that. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, of course. But, you know, he just, bro, he was a monster. You know, I just never played with anybody like that. You know, he was my roommate on the road. So, I mean, I was real cool with him. Like, I got real tight with him. When he hurt his knee, everybody was sick. Yeah. You know, and he and I had snuck out that night. So we was already clowning. You know what I mean? Like, we met back in the room. We had all snuck out that night. So, me and him was getting it in, you know, and I remember leaving the locker room at halftime because he's like, it's like, man, you know, we get 3 days off, which is unheard of in the league. He's like, man, let's go smash these fools, finish the game, and we get these 3 days off. I was like, yeah, for sure. Jump each other up, right? So I'm on kick return. So, of course, they kick the ball and it goes out of the end zone. So I'm coming off the field and it's basically like a reaffirmation, like, hey, let's go start it off right. You know, we just talked about it. First play is when he tore his knee. I mean, when I tell you the feeling in everybody's stomach, you know what I mean? Because this is the toughest dude that I've ever played with. Yeah. And he was banging on the ground in pain. Like, the feeling in your stomach is just like, I mean, it took me days, bro, to get over that shit. Really? You know what I mean? Just, because first of all, he's a good dude. Yeah. So you'd hate to see that happen to a good dude, but especially someone, like he just, how people say work like it's your last play. He's the only player I ever played with that actually did it.
Yeah.
He really played like it was his last play every time, like that Kobe shit. Like a Mamba mentality. Look, I'm a hard worker, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not lazy. You ain't gonna find nobody tell you that, but that's some other shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's easy to see why he's still able to play. And this is his, like, because we came out the same year, bro. So this is his 13th or 14th year. Like, he's a dog, man.
Yeah. You still keep in touch with a lot of these guys?
Yeah, well, me and him will text a few times a year. I talk to my running back coach, our running back coach in Minnesota, a lot. He's in Arizona now. But Toby Gerhardt, he's a good dude, California too. So, you keep in touch with a few. I talked to Donovan just before the pandemic. He lives in Arizona. He been for a minute. So some guys you do. Some guys you lose touch with, but everybody got families and be doing it.
Yeah. So let's talk about your exit. What was it that made you decide that this was it?
Well, my mind started to shift towards what we talked about at the beginning, and so I already subconsciously was planning my exit.
Gotcha.
So in my mind, I was like, look, because it just became increasingly difficult to go through training camp, not physically, just emotionally.
Gotcha.
And my son would go to school in whatever state we were in, and then he would go to school when we came back to California. And I knew I didn't want him to keep doing that as he got to 8, 9, 10. And, so I knew I needed to, plus the stress of nothing ever being good enough. I got tired of that.
Yeah.
So in Chicago, there was a period where I was like, if I can make this team and the funny thing about Chicago is I was brought in there, and for the first time in my life, I was brought in as an afterthought. Meaning they didn't expect me to make the team, not because of my talent, but because by then this is year 6 or 7. So my minimum is high. It's almost triple what the other guys were. So this is what people don't understand about the business. It doesn't matter if I'm better. If I'm not way better, then they'll just pay the guy that's cheaper. See what I'm saying? So this is the part that people don't get. So even though I'm better, they weren't giving me the reps that I deserved to get, because they wanted me to get beat out. They didn't want me to beat those guys out. They needed to be able to justify why they kept that guy over me. So they limit my touches. So it was very frustrating, because again, I had never been thought of in that way ever, So it tested my mental fortitude. Like I always say, are you still the person you think you are, even when everybody around you is indirectly telling you ain't shit? But I already told you how I get motivated by just that. So the thing that makes everybody else might get down on them, it motivates the shit out of me. Oh, I can't do something. Okay, motherfucker, let's see, So I took that mindset. Not to mention, are they doing that? But remember, I'm a running back. But really, I'm a third down back, and I'm a special teams guy, right? So at that time, Matt Forte was about to re-sign, and Matt Forte at that time was like arguably the best all-purpose back in the league. As far as catching and throwing, catching and running, he was like the best at that time. So I was behind Matt Forte, who had just signed for $32 million, literally just signed that year. They had just signed Michael Bush, who came from the Raiders, for $14 million. So I'm not gonna beat them out. Yeah. Right? Because they're making too much. It doesn't matter how much better I am than them. Even if I was shitting on them, I'm not beating them out. They make too much money. But then I'm a returner, right? So, they had the greatest return man to ever walk the fucking planet, Devin Hester, right? So, but the good thing about that is Devin was kind of phasing himself out of kick return, and he was just going to focus on punt return because he was playing a lot of receiver at that time. So he's like, well, shit, I'm not going to be doing kick return and punt return and receiver. So they were phasing him out of that. But they just signed Eric Weems to do that from Atlanta, who had just made the Pro Bowl, and he signed for like $12 million. So I had like 70 million at the positions that I go for. So not only did they have younger guys that they wanted to put in, before me, but that's why, because they had so much money already invested in those positions. So they were limiting my carries like crazy. It's so frustrating because the guys in front of me were just messing up and just bullshitting, and so it's frustrating. But I remember telling myself, if I make this team against these odds, can't nobody tell me shit. And what that really was telling myself is I'm exactly who I thought I was.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So fast forward, to the second preseason game, and that I'm supposed to get that return. Now my son comes to see me, right? So his mom and my son come up there, and it's his birthday. He's 5. So I'm talking to him before the game. Yo, I'm going to do something for you, because I knew I was going to get this particular return that was going to put me in space. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a play for you.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, great. Now, there's a lot of things I can deal with, okay? Don't fuck with my babies, okay?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you start making me feel like I promised my son something and I didn't come through, we got a problem.
Got you.
Right? So the whole half goes and I don't play a single down. And then they gave that return to Eric Weems and he pushed it for 50. I'm boiling inside, So they're like, hey, Book, you're getting the second half kickoff. And in my mind, I'm like, eat a dick. Like, man, I'm boiling. So I'm just back there and I'm like, kick the fucking ball, And like I said, that's when I told you I blacked out, but I broke the Bears record. It was 105 yards. So it was the longest return in Bears history.
How was your son? Went
to the house. Sleep. Exactly. So, I mean, goddamn, he was asleep. But
you still did it. It's all good.
Oh yeah. The next week they cut both players that I was competing with.
Really?
So, but and the crazy thing is, before I did that, I bought a first class ticket to go home. And this is what I mean by programming your subconscious. So when I made that vow to myself, I hadn't returned it yet. I hadn't done this yet. I just said, I'm going to buy this first class ticket now. And I'm going to be sitting, because after camp ends, you get a certain amount of days off because, training camp just ended. So they need to make the rest of their cuts and all of that stuff. So you get like 3-4 days off. So I was like, I'm going to buy this ticket and I'm going to be sitting in first class drinking champagne on my way home. Like, hell yeah, I did that shit. So I already set the stage right there. This is what it's going to be. And so getting onto the plane, they cut the last guy. My cousin Curtis was like, yo, they cut him. Like, and I was sitting on the plane in first class, drinking champagne on my way home. Like, can't nobody tell me shit.
Fuck yeah.
And I never played again after that.
I love it.
Because in that game, I got in a few weeks later, I got a concussion. And it was my second concussion in like 9 months, because I got one towards the end of my last year in Minnesota. So I just couldn't pass the test. So they put me on injured reserve. And then, it was just like, I knew subconsciously I was never going to play again after that.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't willing to keep my mind right to keep trying to play. So I just let it be what it was going to be, and I just never played again after that.
So did you already still have a lot of ties back here, back at home? Was that your motivation to come back?
No, not really. I mean, I always knew I was coming home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I knew I was coming home, So as much as fun as South Florida was, I'm not from South Florida.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm from here. So I always knew I was coming home, because since I went to college so far away, college is not like the pros where you get 3-4 months off. It'd take me a day just to get here and a day to get back when I'm in Florida. So I couldn't just come home like that in college. Mm-hmm. I was very rare. I was seldom home in college, unless it was summer or spring. Outside of that, and then since we were good, I didn't get that vacation time in the spring in December, because I was always getting ready to play in a BCS bowl game. So we were practicing.
Got you.
So I was never really home. So I knew I was coming home. After.
So what was it like to be home? You've accomplished the goals that you set for your life, and now what?
Well, that was the hard part, because I thought that I could just retire and raise my son and be happily ever after and just enjoy my time. But, You know what they say? Idle hands are the devil's
Yeah.
playground.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's when all them thoughts creep in. You know, I was so uncomfortable at one point with my thoughts that I couldn't even sit at home. You know, I just couldn't. You know, the thoughts were just killing me.
Yeah.
You know, random thoughts, you know, of inadequacy. You know, nothing crazy like I wanted to take my life or nothing like that. I'm just talking about that. I'm just saying the doubts.
Yeah.
You know, just doubting myself, trying to figure out who I was without carrying a football. So, you know, that took me some time. But having, you know, like I said, people that you close to, that just you could kind of lean on while you doing it, you know, really, really helps. So just like I said, having my family was everything, you know. And so, but I had always told the universe, which is, you know, I'd always told myself that, look, if just let me do what I set out to do, and I'll spend my life helping everybody else do it. You know what I mean? So I basically wanted to be a beacon for it.
So let's talk about Advocate Society. The
Yeah. So it's really my cousin Ronnie Jenkins. It's really his brainchild.
Got you. Okay.
So we were heavy into real estate. He, myself, and my cousin Curtis, we were doing because I love real estate. Like, so I'm the guy watching HGTV like all day. You know, Property Brothers renovation, all that. That's why I bought Jordan's family's house.
Got you.
Because they lived in Carriage Square, and for people who, you know, have been around Oxnard for a long time, you know, back in the 60s, like all the doctors lived there.
Yeah.
And so they're really big lots, you know, so we used to go to their house all the time for, you know, they always were having something over there, cooking food or whatever. So when they were moving, you know, Jordan, everybody was grown, so they were moving. And so they sold me the house, and I just fell in love with the flipping. So the three of us were doing that, and we were doing good. But one day Ronnie comes in and he's like, yo, because Ronnie's like always thinking all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, he's like like how we talked about imagination and vision. Like he's got a knack for business in terms of connecting people and putting stuff together.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, you know, he just does it really good. So he came in one day and he's like, yo, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do legal cannabis.
Yeah.
And he was like, and we're going to make a lot of money and we're going to be good at it. You know, basically I'm paraphrasing. And so me and Curtis were like, well, shit, let's do it. You know, this was like 2016 almost.
Gotcha.
This was like, you know, it was a while ago.
Now, when did you come home?
I was done playing after the 2012 season.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool.
But Ronnie is older than me. So Ronnie was done playing in like 05, 06.
Gotcha.
But then Ronnie lived in Canada for like 5 or 6 years. So Ronnie moved back here in 09. So by this time, because Ronnie had a gym, and then, you know, like I said, Ronnie's like, yo, we're going to start a gym. I was like, all right, you know, let's do that. You know, so we had a gym in Camarillo for a while, and it was fun. But, you know, because we don't come from families that, you know, were, you know, comfortable economically, it was hard for us to charge people what you need to charge them and be as, quote, cutthroat as you kind of need to be.
Yeah.
Because we just want to help kids. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't conducive, you know, for business, for good business, because we were going to be too nice, basically. So we're like, all right, we're not going to do this anymore. Especially in real estate was going really good. So, so he's like, yo, we're going to go into legal cannabis. You know, this is going to be crazy. And, you know, we're going to do it, you know. So it started out, so it's Advocate Society. But at this point, we didn't have a name. We didn't have anything. You know, we just had the idea. And so we just, from then on, he literally put together this team. And, you know, and it's just from top to bottom, you know, everybody in there is proficient at everything. I mean, it just doesn't seem like we have any weaknesses.
Yeah. And
so, you know, we're in cultivation, retail, extraction, distro, you know, all across the board. So, you know, in fact, of the licenses that were issued a few months ago, if you look at it, we're the only ones on there that aren't considered a, quote, big dog. Like, you know, Cookies is huge. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like Green Thumb, you know, these are all of these, you know, all of the companies in the top 8, not counting the local equity. We're the only ones that don't have experience.
Yeah.
You know, and so and we scored so high that we didn't need to fall into the local equity. So it was, but there was no hope or maybe. And for anybody that's in the cannabis, it's strenuous. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of resources. So people who didn't get it, there was a grieving process. You have to get a location. You got to pay rent on the location. I can show you a picture of just one of the applications, just so you can understand just how strenuous it is. These applications, for the people who obviously ain't going to be able to look at my phone right now, are hundreds of pages long.
Yeah.
So you have to pay somebody to do that. See that? So this is an application.
Guys, it's a book.
Giant, right? Looks like a phone book, right?
Oh my goodness.
Looks crazy, huh?
Probably after page 27, I'll just be like, all right, we're good.
See that? And that's the condensed version.
Oh my God.
So, so the people that, do our applications, it starts off with hundreds of pages, and then they have to condense it down to about 100, right? So, you have to do that, and then you have to have a location, and it's just, you have to have all of these different things, and then you have to be able to prove to the panel that, you're going to be able to, maintain a certain level of proficiency, and that your plan is going to continue to be able to generate revenue.
Gotcha.
So for us, it was like the perfect mixture of being able to do business and be on the, the saying in stocks, if by the time you read about it, it's too late. You got to be on it before that.
Yeah.
Because now the shares for prices per share has already risen, because you're not the only one reading that book that has that idea. So you kind of got to know the trends, right? So he was genius in recognizing, Ronnie was genius in recognizing where this was going to be.
Especially 2016.
Yeah, man. You see what I'm saying? So, so he was genius in recognizing where this was going to be. And, like I said, putting together a team that, everybody is from here. And that's another thing. Like, everybody from Advocate is from here.
Yeah.
All of us. So everybody likes to talk about, homegrown and hometown this and that. Like, no, we're all from here. Like, we didn't go reach out to somebody from Texas to come in and, give us some money. So
put you on.
Yeah. Like, we just had a toy drive and we gave away like 500 toys and like
Very
60
cool,
bags
man.
of vegan groceries, so, and we did that at Miami High School.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then for Thanksgiving, we gave away, a bunch of turkey meals, not just turkeys, the whole meals, stuffing, all of that. And then we got some stuff coming up for Black History Month. So, it's like, so it's making a lot of money. Yeah. But, this is not something that we just said, okay, we got a cannabis business and now we're going to help. Me and Ronnie been doing Healthy Kids Day for the YMCA off of Telegraph for the last 6 years. We had a camp there for free with 90 kids there, 6-7 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, we helped buy the uniforms for the North Oxnard Warriors a couple times. Ronnie has a picture outside of Oxnard High School for donating money.
Wow.
So it's like, we didn't just start doing this. But we're not at the same time going to be pumping it on our social media going, hey, look, I'm giving back to my community. Not that there's anything wrong with you doing that, but that's just not the intent behind it.
Yeah.
The intent is to help. So our version is, well, look, we can help stimulate economic growth, especially right now, considering the economy and what, COVID has done in our area, not someone else's area, on top of the philanthropy that we're doing, and on top of the stuff that we'll just do personally, so our thing is to really, because North Oxnard gets a lot of attention because of the collection. Yeah. But Hueneme, South Oxnard, and Hueneme, they're really kind of neglected. And so we're going to obviously be pouring money in Oxnard, but it's really to try to, we want to pour as much resources in Oxnard, Hueneme, as possible. And like I said, we've been volunteering in Ventura for years now. I mean, I consider myself like a honorary Ventura citizen.
Gotcha.
Considering I went to school here, Ventura's opening up, and so we'll try to get into Ventura as well, so that way we can help use those resources to help stimulate Ventura's economy as well. So, but whether we get in or not, we'll still do it. It's just if we can get into Ventura, there'll just be more. That's
Got
all.
you.
So
the product is sold at where?
Well, we're still doing the build out and all that stuff
got
right
you.
now. So, because like I said, they just barely started to, like I said, we just got the Oxnard license not too long ago.
Okay, got you.
And then Wainimi's a whole nother city. So, each city has its own deal.
Got you.
But you'll see that symbol. You'll start seeing that symbol.
I'm ready,
everywhere,
man. Whenever you need somebody to have some samples, I'll try out everything for you.
Man, I'll tell you what. You know what? You have Ronnie on here, and I'll make it. I'll tell him to bring you something.
We can smoke on the pod.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, So plus that for us, it was a much better way to deal with injuries or whatever else.
That's what I was going to ask you.
The league pumps opioids like crazy, and that's just it's not conducive for long term health, man, at all.
Yeah, speaking of the Mike Tyson podcast again, the guy that's on there, that's one of the reasons he teamed up with Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson is doing the Tyson Ranch, and he's really into cannabis. And the guy Evan, I forget his last name, but he's really for cannabis and what it can do for NFL football players.
For sure.
Because because they're just trying to shoot you up.
Yeah, man. I mean, the thing is, the concussion settlement gets the majority of the pub, and rightfully so. But see, they don't even tell you about the players that are suing them for kidney failure and all that because of the painkillers.
Yeah.
And the Toradol injections. Guys used to line up and take Toradol and not even be hurt, and they passed that shit out like candy, just because, you didn't want to feel pain while you're playing.
Yeah.
That Toradol is vicious, man. Like it's. I remember, man, I had a cracked rib one time. And it hurt so bad I couldn't get up. I had to get help up. And that sounds like, okay, well, you needed to get help up. Nah, man, I don't stay down.
Yeah.
I told my mom a long time ago, if I'm on the floor, something's wrong. My mama is watching. I'm getting up off the floor for one, because I need to tell you that you ain't shit. Right? That hit didn't hurt me. Like it's a mind game. So I'm getting off the rip. I'm getting up off the ground just for that. But also because my mom is watching. My grandma's watching. You think I'm about to be laying over here on the floor? You know what I mean? So... but I had to get help, man, and I was bleeding internally, and I got a shot, and all that pain I'm telling you, not only did it go away, but it went away so much that I forgot it happened. So I showered and left without getting no painkillers. Man, when I tell you, my mom almost had to take me to the ER at like 2 a.m. because I couldn't move. I just couldn't move, bro. It was so bad. Wow. Ask me if I missed the game though. Nope. See? I mean, so it's okay for you to give me, all of these crazy anti-inflammatories that are going to just eat away at me long term, but you don't want me to smoke no herb?
Yeah. What
are we talking about?
Yeah.
And so for me, and that's also going to be part of what Advocate is doing is proper education in regards to cannabis. So, it's like, I could buy cigarettes at the corner. Tobacco ain't healing nobody.
Yeah.
Alcohol ain't healing nobody. Matter of fact, they're 1 and 2 killers in the U.S. every year.
Yep.
Consecutively. That's one after the other consecutive. Mm-hmm. But you're telling me a plant that actually has healing properties, but there's something wrong with me smoking that. Come on, man. You want to shoot me up with morphine though. Like all this other stuff you'll give me. I could go eat McDonald's all day. That's not a problem either.
Yeah.
But
McDonald's is essential.
Yep. Have you had your break today? You know what I'm saying?
Golly.
So it's like, it's really the miseducation of cannabis that, is a lot of the issue. And that's actually going to be one of our branches too, is just proper education. You're not walking into any of our retail centers without having videos and for sure someone on site all the time that can educate you on whatever product is in there. Not just on how much CBD or THC is in it, but what healing properties. You could use this for this. If you're feeling depressed, use this for that. If you got swelling, use this for this. And it's like you said before, it's not just the what, but the why.
Yeah, definitely.
So, we definitely want to take a more holistic approach to this.
Dude, I love it, bro. I love the story, man. It's super motivating. And I love to see you never really get to see like on the other side of it. Sure. I accomplished everything. Now what are you going to do? I'm going to give back,
all the way.
I love it, man.
All the way, man.
And as far as the business goes, like I'm huge for that. And not just smoking as far as, partying and things like that, but really helps me out a lot. And it with that anxiety, and it helps me sleep, and it just helps me turn my brain off because I'm cooking all day, 24/7, just thinking about something. And a lot of times the thoughts are good, but sometimes they're not good. And I'm like, man, I need to turn this shit off.
Yeah,
and I'm looking forward to it, man.
For sure. We're going to have you down there, man.
Yeah.
So y'all could come in, man. We'll send y'all with some stuff. Like you said, hey, so we got to have testers. You seen that movie Grandma's Boy?
Yeah. I'll see my grandma wants to smoke too.
That movie's fantastic.
Dope, man. Well, Lorenzo, thank you so much for coming, brother. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all having me, man.
Of course, man. So before we get out of here, where could people follow you at or follow what you got going on?
Well, you know what? I don't have a personal IG, but, obviously the business does.
Okay,
so
cool.
It's just Advocate Society. Just get on Instagram and look at Advocate Society.
Yeah, we'll have it listed below.
Follow us, man. And like I said, really, you get on there right now and you'll be able to see, a lot of the philanthropy that we've already done so far. Like I said, we're just now starting to post stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's not like you're going to be able to get on there and see like years worth.
Yeah.
Because even though Advocate Society as an idea, has something that was 4 years old, in terms of it being so organized that we can actually pump it out, to the public, it's that's different.
Yeah.
So, so they're not going to get on there and see a bunch of stuff, but, they're going to see enough.
It's coming.
So it's Advocate.Society.
Advocate.Society. All right, cool.
Society on Instagram. And then we're on Facebook too, but, same thing. You'll see that logo.
I'm looking forward to it, bro.
Looks kind of like the Avengers logo.
Hell yeah.
So we got to drop you guys off some gear and all that stuff too.
We're with it, brother. All right, man. Thank you once again for your time, bro. I really, really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And thank you guys for listening, man. I'm excited to be back podcasting. I miss it. I love it. And hopefully we motivate some of you guys. Guys, we're both two dudes from the 805, man, chasing our dreams. And if we could do it, you could do it too. This is Downtime with Downstar, episode 218. And we out. Peace.